Chapter 2221 Life Magnetic Beast. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Wei Jian Daozu is looking for me. Yi Tian is a little curious. Ju Sword Dao ancestor is not an ordinary Dao ancestor, he is the owner of Guquan Xuanlu, he has a very high status among the 9-layered buildings and is one of the real high rises. Although Ju Jian Dao ancestor is not as good as those 9-fold ancestors, he is also one of the most powerful half-step 9-fold ancestors. Such existence actually wants to see him. It should be that my life level is above 9, which attracted the attention of Wei Jian Daozu. Yi Tian guessed. Soon, Yi Tian saw the absolute Sword Dao ancestor. Meet the owner, Yi Tian said respectfully. Endless Daozu, your life level has been raised to above 9, which is very good. Ju Kendo ancestors are praised. Breakthrough by luck, Yi Tian said modestly. The two chatted for a while. Suddenly, Ju Sword Dao ancestor mentioned, Endless Dao ancestor, do you have any idea of joining a certain ground floor? There is no such plan for the time being, Yi Tian said truthfully. After all, he just joined Guquan Xuanlu, so he ran to other buildings. Although they were all inside the Zhouzhang building, it was not good. After all, every floor has assessment requirements, otherwise Guquan Xuanlu would not have given him such a good treatment. Seeing that Yi Tian did not have this plan, Ju Jian Daozu breathed a sigh of relief, and immediately said, actually, for a half-step 7-level ancestor like you, there is no difference between Xuanlu and Dilo. First of all, the minimum requirement for Tianlu is 8th. The original ancestor, you can't enter. As for the ground floor, there are only 9 ancestors and several half-step 9 ancestors. In fact, there are not as many Taoist ancestors as the Xuanlu. The Xuanlu is the foundation of the 9-fold building. If you enter a certain ground floor, you will not be able to get too many benefits. At most, you will receive some guidance from the ancestors of the 9 layers. However, your current goal is to improve the level of life, and the guidance of the ancestors of the 9 layers is meaningless. If you stay in Guquan Xuanlu will give you more benefits. Yi Tian understood at this moment, Ju Jian Dao ancestor was afraid that he would run to a certain building. Lord Landlord, please rest assured, I will not leave Guquan Xuanlu for the time being, at least not when I am half-stepped into the 7th layer primitive ancestor realm. Yi Tian assured. He also knew that in the half-step 7th level ancestor realm, even if it was a sky tower, it would be difficult to help him much, and at most he would give some points. And this thing, Xuanlu can also give points. Half-step 7th level ancestor realm not leaving. Endless Daozu, are you not ready to attack the 7th level ancestor realm for the time being? Daozu Wei Jian asked curiously. Yes, Yi Tian nodded, I want to raise my life level to 9.9. It is said that raising it to 9.9 is very beneficial, so I want to continue to raise my life level. 1. Ju Jian Dao ancestor showed a clear look, after all Yi Tian grew up very fast, he must have this idea. However, he still reminded, do you know how many Taoist ancestors who have raised their life level to the level of 9.9 in the realm of the 9-layered building? I don't know, Yi Tian shook his head. Wei Jian Daozu said, from the construction of the 9-layered building to the present, there are a total of 128 Taoist ancestors who can raise their life level to 9.9 in the half-step 7-layer original ancestor realm, of which 101 have fallen and 27 are still alive. How did it fall so much? Yi Tian was shocked. The drop rate is too high. Wei Jian Daozu smiled and said, this ratio is very normal. Today is a relatively peaceful era. There is no war between the major forces, and there is no major disaster. But the 9-story building has existed for endless years and experienced many crises, so the fallen strong naturally, there are many. Many strong people fell and died in battle, in fact, more ordinary Taoist ancestors fell. Can't even count. Yi Tian understood and felt that it was reasonable. Although the 9-story building is very powerful, there are forces comparable to the 9-story building. If a war of powers really breaks out, death is inevitable. Landlord, what is the benefit of raising the life level to 9.9? It's just that the combat power is improved a little, and it won't make the other half-step 7th level ancestors so eager. Yi Tian asked curiously. Naturally there are benefits, and it's a huge benefit. Wei Jian Daozu said. However, this benefit cannot be seen in a short time. For example, if you raise your life level to 9.9, you will only improve some strength, even at the 7th level. The original ancestor, the 8-fold ancestor, and even the half-step 9-fold ancestor cannot see much benefit. But once you become the 9-fold ancestor, the difference is a bit big. When you reach the ninefold ancestor, it is difficult for other Taoist ancestors to improve their level of life. But you can continue to improve. If you cannot raise your life level to 9.9 in the half-step sevenfold primordial realm, then the limit of your future life level will be 99. No matter how much you improve, you cannot break this limit. In the 7th level ancestor realm, if the life level is raised to 9.9, in the future, it will be able to break the boundary of 99 and enter the life level above 100. Yi Tian immediately understood when he heard it. Both are the original ancestors of the 9 layers, one is at the 99th life level, and the other is at the life level of more than 100. I don't know if there is a limit, then the strength gap is too big. I have to raise my life level to 9.9. Yi Tian secretly said in his heart. At this time, Weijian Daozu also revealed, it has been a long time since the 9 layers building had a half-step 7th layer ancestor who raised the level of life to 9.9, mainly because many resources that greatly improve the level of life have disappeared, which has led to increased difficulty. However, if you want to impact the 9.9 life level, I can represent Guquan Xuanlu to give you some convenience. Thank you, landlord, Yi Tian thanked. Subsequently, Ju Sword Daozu promised to give Yi Tian 10,000 points as a reward, which was already the limit of his ability to decide. In addition, Weijian Daozu also gave Yi Tian a detailed information, which recorded some resources and treasures that were useful to him, which could improve the level of life. This information is many times more detailed than what Yi Tian knew about himself. There are still many treasures that are useful to me, but some treasures are in the hands of other forces, and I can't go in. Yi Tian frowned. And the resources and treasures that are helpful to the 8-fold primitive ancestor and even the 9-fold primordial ancestor cannot be effective for him. He has reached the limit of the current state, it is difficult to continue to improve, and it has nothing to do with the grade of the treasure. Back at the residence, Yi Tian studied it carefully, he felt that there was a way that would help him the most, and it was the easiest to do. Take Zhao's mysterious beast of life. This is not a primitive antiquity, but a special kind of creature, a creature that was researched by a strong person using the fusion of primitive antiquity and a special creature. The life magnetic beast can release a special power to continuously improve the life level of a Taoist ancestor, even if it has an effect on him. But if you release that kind of power, it will damage the origin of the magnetic beast of life. If you use it too much, there is even a danger of falling. And life magnetic beasts are too rare, not born in heaven and earth, but cultivated, and it is difficult to replicate this process. At present, there are no more than 100 life magnetic beasts in the world, and there are only 28 in the 9-story building. It is impossible for the life magnetic beast to sacrifice itself to improve my life level in the 9-story building, but I can find a life magnetic beast in the half-step 7th level original ancestral realm, and then copy its body. Yi Tian thought of this method. But the premise is that he finds a life magnetic beast in the half-step 7th level ancestor realm. In this way, his plan can be completed. Chapter 2222 Use the life magnetic beast to improve the level of life. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Such a life magnetic beast is hard to find. Yi Tian frowned slightly. After all, there are too few life magnetic beasts, just like the 9-story building has life magnetic beasts, but they will definitely be vigorously cultivated. Therefore, many life magnetic beasts are above the realm of the 7th ancestor. And beyond the life magnetic beast of the 7-fold original ancestor, he is unable to replicate. Subsequently, Yi Tian began to inquire about the specific information about the life magnetic beast. Finally, Yi Tian found a life magnetic beast of the half-step 7th level ancestor, but the life magnetic beast was not in the 9th level building, but in the hands of another force. 10 Dao Mountains. This is a force second only to the 9-layered building. It is not too weaker than the 9-layered building. It has many 9-layered original ancestors and half-step 9-layered original ancestors, but the number of Taoist ancestors is much less than that of the 9-layered building. The Daozu who possesses the life magnetic beast of the half-step 7-layer primitive ancestor is a 7th-layer primitive ancestor of Shidao Mountain. And the other party put the life magnetic beast of the half-step 7-level ancestor level in a special place to cultivate. After all, it is very difficult for the life magnetic beast to grow up, and it also needs a lot of life substances. And Yi Tian passed through the 9 layers building and also inquired about the place where the life magnetic beast was. He only needed to sneak in. The Green Forest World. This is a treasure land controlled by Shidao Mountain, and the life magnetic beast is placed in a place in the Green Forest World, and is guarded by digital 7-level 170-level peak ancestors and a half-step 8-level ancestor, that servant. For Yi Tian, the most difficult thing is to enter the Green Forest world. Those who are not members of Shadao Mountain or get a quota cannot enter the Green Forest realm. And as a member of Zhouzhanglo, he has a hostile relationship with Shadaoshan, so Shadaoshan can't let him enter the Green Forest world. There is only one way to disguise as a Taoist ancestor of Shadao Mountain and sneak into the Green Forest realm. Even if they find out later, it will be too late. Yi Tian thought to himself. Therefore, Yi Tian continued to spy on the Green Forest world to find opportunities in the following years. Finally on this day, Yi Tian found a suitable opportunity. Yu Daozu of Shadao Mountain often enters the Green Forest, and recently went to a very distant region. I can copy his identity and enter the Green Forest directly. Yi Tian feels that this kind of infiltration is difficult to find. After all, Shadao Mountain is different from Zhouzhanglo. Places like Luin Senji require contribution points for ordinary Taoist ancestors, but for high-status Taoist ancestors, it is free enter. It is like the ancestor of the Lost Tao, who is a half CJFJ, Step 7 original ancestor with a life level of 8 or higher, and has a high status in Shadao Mountain, so he has the treatment of entering the Green Forest world for free. Otherwise, if the contribution value is needed, the contribution value must be deducted before entering the Green Forest realm, and Yi Tian does not have the contribution value of Shadao Mountain, so he really wants to become a wedge loser, and he can't enter the Green Forest realm, easily found. Green Forest World. On this day, Yi Tian came here, and became a copy of the body of Daosho Daozu, and came to the entrance of the Green Forest realm as Daosu Daozu. Really, Daozu Daoshu was not hindered in any way, but only symbolically used a primitive ancient treasure to probe Yi Tian's body to confirm Yi Tian's identity. The identity of the cloned body will not be easily detected, and it may be seen by the half-step Zhouzhang Yuanzu or Zhouzhang Yuanzu, but the guarding Taoist ancestors at these entrances will definitely not be able to see it. In this way, Yi Tian easily entered the Green Forest world. Afterwards, Yi Tian began to look for the life magnetic beast. It took a little while for Yi Tian's copying talent to perceive the position of the life magnetic beast. He did not approach the life magnetic beast, and left shortly after. After all, he only needs to perceive the life magnetic beast to copy its body, and that's enough. After Yi Tian left, those Taoist ancestors who were in charge of guarding were a little puzzled. Of course, they didn't probe anything. Ha ha ha, I entered the Green Forest realm as Daozu of the cat and left, I'm afraid they will never know. Yi Tian thought to himself. Immediately, Yi Tian began to replicate the body of the life magnetic beast. Soon, a half-step 7th level primitive life magnetic beast was successfully copied by Yi Tian. Certainly, Yi Tian did not replicate the life magnetic beast in the 9-layer building, but replicated it in the primordial region. Otherwise, he was found in the Zhouzhanglo, and he didn't know how to explain it. Then it's time to try the effect of the life magnetic beast. Yi Tian, the life magnetic beast body, began to stimulate the power of the source, releasing a strange wave that acted on Yi Tian's body. Yi Tian's life level is improving at a very good speed. It works. Yi Tian was extremely excited. Even if this replica body is scrapped, he can continue to replicate it. In other words, he is equivalent to having a large number of life magnetic beasts. Of course, he is also very clear that the effect of the life magnetic beast will be lost sooner or later, but it can be improved as much as it can be improved. He doesn't know what it will cost to raise his life level to 9.9, but if he can raise his life level by 0.1, he can raise it by 0.1, and he must raise it at all costs. Years passed, Yi Tian's life level continued to improve, and the body of the life magnetic beast became weaker and weaker. After all, this body was consuming the source and burning life force all the time. This day, the body of the life magnetic beast collapsed, and it was an irreversible collapse. Test the level of life. Then, Yi Tian tested it. As a result, his life level was still at 9, and he did not rise to the 9.1 life level. I feel that the level of life has improved a lot, but I didn't expect it to be raised to 9.1. If it is raised to 9.9, it will be too difficult. Yi Tian secretly said, and he has spent a life magnetic beast. If it is replaced by other Taoist ancestors, how dare to pay such a price? Of course, the life magnetic beast of the 7th level ancestor level or the life magnetic beast of the 8th level ancestor level must be many times better. But the life magnetic beast is too difficult to be promoted to the original ancestor of the 8th layer. It is almost impossible to do it. Therefore, most of the life magnetic beasts are at the level of the 7th ancestor. But even if it is a 7-level ancestor-level life magnetic beast, it is at most comparable to dozens of half-step 7-level ancestor-level life magnetic beasts, and it is impossible to increase the level of life. Therefore, even if other Taoist ancestors collected all the life magnetic beasts, it would be difficult to raise the life level to 9.9. Continue to copy the life magnetic beast and strive to raise the life level to above 9.5, this is the minimum requirement. In the years that followed, Yi Tian copied the life magnet beast again and again, constantly using the life magnet beast to improve his own life magnet beast. Just like that, long years have passed. Chapter 2223 The level of life is skyrocketing. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Yi Tian copied the life magnetic beast many times, and the resources consumed by copying the life magnetic beast reached a very exaggerated level. If it is replaced by a real life magnetic beast, I don't know how many sacrifices have been made. If it is the top power, there is no way to do this. After all, there are not so many life magnetic beasts. However, Yi Tian can only copy the life magnetic beast of the half-step 7th level ancestor level, so the effect is getting worse and worse, but it is effective. But now, the life magnetic beast really has no effect at all. Test the level of life. Yi Tian muttered. He used the treasure of Guquan Xuanlu to test his life level, and after some tests, the result came out. 9.6. Seeing this result, Yi Tian was extremely excited. The life level has reached 9.6, which means that he is very close to 9.9. There is only a distance of 0.3 left. If you try harder, maybe you can reach 9.9. But Yi Tian is also very clear that there is only one creature similar to the life magnetic beast, so he can't find such an opportunity again. Even if it is a treasure that helps you improve your life level, it needs refining to be effective. Even if it is copied, it cannot be used for refining. Therefore, it is useless to copy those treasures to improve the level of life, and the integrity of the treasures must be guaranteed. In the days that followed, Yi Tian searched for a lot of treasures, but very few treasures could improve his life level. Even if there were, the effect would be very poor. He couldn't raise his life level from 9.6 to 9.7 at all. This makes Yi Tian feel that if there is no big chance, he is afraid that it will take endless years to hope to raise the level of life to 9.9. You can only take your time and see what the chance is. Yi Tian thought so. Taikuyuan area boundary. At this time, Yi Tian's disciple Han Zan had already entered the pinnacle of the 6th level ancestor. After all, she was a half-step 7th level ancestor in her previous life, and now she is apprenticed to Yi Tian, and she is not short of resources, so her cultivation speed is very fast. It didn't take long for him to become the 6th level original ancestor, and with a lot of resources, he quickly rose to the peak of the 6th level original ancestor. Not only that, she is only one step away from the half-step 7th level ancestor. She only needs to comprehend the 9th level Yuan Dao, and she can go to the half-step 7th level primordial ancestral realm. Now, she has comprehended the prototype of Zhouzhang Yuan Dao, and she is close to comprehending the real Zhouzhang Yuan Dao. Another time passed. On this day, Han Zan finally realized her own 9-fold Yuan Dao, and began to temper her body, trying to break the boundaries for the first time. Once the break is successful, she can become a half-step 7th level ancestor. With constant refinement and supply of resources, Han Zan's body became stronger and stronger, finally breaking the boundaries and entering the realm of the half-step 7th level ancestor. Breakthrough succeeded. Han Zan was very excited. Although she has only broken through to the half-step 7th level ancestor, her strength has already surpassed the peak of her previous life. With her current strength, she can easily beat the ordinary top half-step 7th level ancestor. On this day, Han Zan came to visit her master Yi Tian. Master, I want to return to the boundary of the vast sea region. Han Zan said. Okay, I'll take you there. Yi Tian said. Thank you, master. Han Zan nodded. Immediately, Han Zan returned to the bounds of the vast sea with a copy of Yi Tian's body. In fact, she didn't know that Yi Tian had multiple duplicate bodies, thinking that Yi Tian's body was a refined clone, so she didn't think much about it. However, the material for refining the clone is very precious, and she does not have it. Star Ancient Giant City. Han Zan followed Yi Tian here. Master, just give me a piece of the Xuanyu order, and I will join the Xuanyu pavilion directly, Han Zan said. No need, you go in with me directly. Yi Tian said. Soon, Han Zan followed Yi Tian to this branch of Xuanyu pavilion, and Xuanwang Daozu came to see Yi Tian in person. Seeing Xuanwang Daozu, Han Zan was extremely shocked. She naturally knows Xuanwang Daozu, is the pavilion owner of this branch of Xuanyu Pavilion, and is also a high-level executive of Xuanyu Pavilion, a powerhouse at the peak of the 7th level original ancestor. These powerhouses actually came out to see Yi Tian in person. How could she not be shocked? Master, you're still at the half-step 7th level primordial realm. How can you have such a big face? Han Zan was very puzzled. Endless Daozu, this is. Xuanwang Daozu looked at Han Zan and asked in confusion. It's my disciple, I'll be arranged in Xuanyu Pavilion from now on, and the treatment will be better, no problem. Yi Tian asked. No problem, Xuanwang Daozu agreed immediately. He now has the identity of Yi Tian, a Tin Green Chu, and is an official member of the Zhouzhang building, and he learned from the Xuanyu Pavilion that Tian's current status in the Zhouzhang building is very high, even if he is a half-step 8 layer in the Hanhai district. The door does not dare to offend Yi Tian. Ask for flowers. He is also stronger than Yi Tian now, but in terms of status, it is far inferior to Yi Tian. Soon, Zanhuang Daozu arranged for Han Zan, and gave very good treatment and even a lot of rewards. And Yi Tian didn't stay here for long and left soon. After Yi Tian left, Han Zan asked Zanhuang Daozu for advice. Palace Master Xuanwang, why are you being so polite to my master? Could it be that my master has a very high status in Xuanyu Pavilion? Han Zan asked curiously. Xuanwang Daozu hurriedly said nervously, Han Zan Daozu, your master is only in the Xuanyu Pavilion now, not a member of the Xuanyu Pavilion. He is now a member of the Zhouzhang, and his status is much higher than mine. 1. 0. 9 towers. Han Zan was a little confused. She didn't know the existence of the 9-story building. After all, her status in her previous life was very low. How could she know of the 9-story tower's existence? Seeing that Han Zan didn't know about the Zhouzhang, Xuanwang Daozu explained simply, the Zhouzhang is a very powerful force that spreads across all regions, and also has a branch in the Hanhai area called Hanhai Wanglo. Many of the top powerhouses in the district are peripheral members of the Wanghai Yellow Building, and they are not even qualified to be full members. Among the peripheral members of the 9-story building, there are a large number of half-step 8-layer ancestors and even 8-layer ancestors. And your master is one of the official members, and it is said that the status is very high, and the future potential is unlimited. When Han Zan heard this, she took a deep breath. How do I join the 9-story building? Han Zan is a little moved. Xuanwang Daozu said. In the half-step 7th level original ancestor realm, if you understand the 9-level Yuandao and your life level reaches 6 or higher, you can join the 9-level building. However, there are many Taoist ancestors who have comprehended the 9-level Yuandao in the Hanhai district. Only your master has successfully joined the Zhouzhang building, and other Taoist ancestors who understand the Zhouzhang Yuandao are not qualified to join. I see. Han Zan immediately understood that the requirements for joining the 9-story building were too high. She had heard of many Taoist ancestors who understood the 9-fold Yuandao, heard their terrifying achievements and deeds, and admired them extremely in her previous life. She did not expect that even those Taoist ancestors were not qualified to join the 9-fold tower. My master is too enchanting. Han Zan secretly sighed at the corpse. Chapter 2224 Endless Yuandao reaches the limit. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Han Zan cultivated at the Xuanyu Pavilion with peace of mind, and Yi Tian didn't care anymore. In the future, Yi Tian couldn't take care of Han Zan all the time, and Han Zan had to walk on her own. Of course, if Han Zan had doubts, he would still give pointers. Years passed, and a long time passed. Under the circumstances, Yi Tian paid countless prices and finally raised his life level by 0.1 again, reaching a level of 9.7. Life level 9.7, it's only 0.2 away from 9.9. Yi Tian saw hope and was quite excited. Of course, this last 0.2 life level is like a moat, and it is unimaginably difficult to cross the past. However, on this day, the absolute Sword Dao ancestor of Guquan Xuanlu brought Yi Tian an opportunity. Ancient Spring Xuanlu, Ju Sword Dao ancestor called Yi Tian in front of 170. Endless Dao ancestor, there is a chance now, it is possible to make your life level go further, but it is a little dangerous. Ju Sword Dao ancestor said. What chance? Yi Tian wanted to find out. As for danger, he is not afraid. Immediately, Weiji and Daozu carefully described this opportunity. 9-layered building, Shadao Mountain, Demon Sea, Weiji, and Divine Blood Sect, these 5 forces have discovered a special mountain in a mysterious place. Approaching this mountain, bearing the power of the mountain can improve the level of life. It has been confirmed that it also has a great effect on the half-step 7-layer primitive ancestor whose life level reaches 9 or higher, but this mountain will also destroy the body of the half-step 7-layer primitive ancestor. Otherwise, the physical body will collapse and die. And even if it resists, there may be sequelae. In addition, the deeper you go, the greater the danger. Ju Sword Daozu said, "There is such a place." Yi Tian was a little surprised. But he also knew that this might be an opportunity, otherwise it would be too difficult for him to raise his life level to 9.9. "Endless Daozu, you are going, if you want to go, I can give you a place," said Weijian Daozu. "I'm going," Yi Tian affirmed. Seeing this, Zhu Jian Dao ancestor gave one of the places to Yi Tian, and said in addition, "Currently, the 9-layer primitive ancestor of the 5 major forces is still studying that mountain, so he will not let you go there at the moment. One thing is certain, the higher the realm of Yuan Dao. If it is high, it can resist the injury caused by the mountain, so you better take this opportunity to improve the realm of Yuan Dao." "Thank you very much for the guidance of the swordsman, I will raise the realm of Yuan Dao," Yi Tian replied. Then, Yi Tian went back. Improve the realm of Yuan Dao. 1. Yi Tian's current Yuan Dao realm is naturally not low. In these years, although he has been working hard to improve his life level, other cloned bodies are also trying to understand the endless Yuan Dao. Long before he joined the Ninefold building, his Ninefold Yuan Dao was elevated to the Dacheng realm, and now he has reached the perfection realm. From the realm of Yuan Dao, he is comparable to the ordinary half-step 8-fold ancestor. If he is willing, he even has the hope of raising the 9-fold Yuan Dao to the extreme realm in the half-step 7-fold original ancestor realm. There are many treasures in the Zhouzhang building to assist in comprehending the Yuan Dao, and there is even a Holy Dao monument. That's right, there is a stele of the Holy Path in the 9-story building. The Sacred Dao monument is a primitive antiquities, and one appeared in the boundary of the Hanhai district at the beginning, but those 8-fold primitive ancestors could not grasp the Sacred Dao stele, but the Julai building could. It's just that those Ye ancestors didn't know about this. At present, there are dozens of Holy Road monuments imprisoned in Zhouzhanglo, so there is no shortage of Holy Road monuments, so there is no interest in other Holy Road monuments. Therefore, for a long time, no top forces have captured the Holy Path monument. Instead of the top forces, it is impossible to capture the live Holy Taoist monument, and even the original ancestor of the 9 layers cannot do it. It must be done by the ancestor of the 9 layers in person. This is also the secret that Yi Tian only knew after he joined the 9 layers building. Once the Holy Dao monument is completely imprisoned, it will lead to an existence that cannot be directly looked at. Without the strength of the 9-fold primitive ancestor, there is no way to deal with such existence. Afterwards, Yi Tian spent some points to continuously use the tablet of the Holy Dao and other treasures to assist him in comprehending the endless primordial Dao. Gradually, Yi Tian's endless Yuan Dao realm is getting higher and higher, and he is getting closer and closer to comprehending the limit infinite Yuan Dao. A long time passed. Finally on this day, Yi Tian's endless Yuan Dao broke some kind of shackles. Endless Yuan Dao has entered the limit realm. If he now has the cultivation of the half-step 8th level ancestor, he can even directly attack the 8th level ancestor's realm, which is also the dream of countless half-step 8th level ancestors. At the beginning, in order to break through his own Yuan Dao to the limit, Heiji Daozu devoured Daozu from the community. But now, Yi Tian broke this shackle so easily. After the endless Yuan Dao broke through to the limit state, Yi Tian's strength also skyrocketed, but it didn't help to improve his life level. Afterwards, Yi Tian spent a little more time perfecting his own primordial Dao control skills, all of which were perfected to the level of supreme primordial Dao control skills, and his strength skyrocketed again. Endless Daozu, the time is up, I will send you to that place. Ju Sword Dao ancestor informed Yi Tian and said. It is good. Yi Tian followed Ju Sword Dao ancestor's teleportation through the 9-story building, crossing the boundaries of each region, and soon came to a mysterious place. Soon, Yi Tian sensed the existence of incomparably terrifying existences, and even some of them were extremely respected by the Dao ancestor of Ju Sword, and did not dare to offend him in the slightest. Yi Tian is very clear that those Taoist ancestors are probably the original ancestors of the 9 layers. After a while, they came to the mysterious mountain. This mountain is located in a mysterious place, surrounded by purple rays of light, and a trace of purple rays of light in it seems to be able to crush Yi Tian countless times. However, these purple rays of light were blocked by a large formation. It's here, Ju Sword Daozu said. Yi Tian stared at a purple-red mountain not far in front of him. His body could not help trembling, both attracting 5.9 and having fear. At this moment, the voice of a 9-layer ancestor spread all around. The half-step 7-layer original ancestor of the 5 major forces is on the periphery of the mountain. Don't go deep, otherwise it's easy to fall. The Zhejiang Yuanzhu only reminded him and left here and entered the depths of the mysterious mountain. At this time, Weiji and Daozu also entered the mountain. Obviously, he will also enter the mountain to practice and improve the level of life. Buzz. One by one, the 7th-level primitive ancestors entered the periphery of the mountain, and did not dare to go deep, and each and every one of them urged the forces of the 9th-level Yuandao to form a shield. Beneficial power tempers the body and enhances the level of life. And Yi Tian did the same. Hopefully, I can take this opportunity to raise the level of life to 9.9 in one fell swoop. Yi Tian secretly said. Chapter 2225. The level of life has reached 9.8. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. And just when Yi Tian resisted the power of this mountain with his endless Yuan Dao, each and every half-step 7th-level primitive ancestor looked at him in surprise, and they were all extremely shocked. Extreme Yuan Dao. They all thought it was incredible. Although the half-step 7-layer primitive ancestors of the 5 top forces are well treated, there are many treasures that can be used to comprehend the Yuan Dao, and it is very easy to comprehend the Yuan Dao to the small and large realm in the half-step 7-layer primitive realm. If you are willing to spend endless years, you can also comprehend the Yuan Dao to the perfect state. However, it took too long to comprehend Yuan Dao to the perfection realm in the realm of the 7-fold original ancestor in half a step, and it was not worth it. After all, it is not cost-effective to improve the realm of Yuan Dao in half a step of the ancestral realm. It is easier to go to the realm of Yuan Dao after breaking through to the realm of the ancestral 7. For them, in the realm of the half-step 7-layer original ancestor, it is natural to make every effort to improve the level of life. Who would be willing to spend endless years to improve the realm of Yuan Dao? Furthermore, no matter how much they comprehend, they can't raise Yuan Dao to the limit. Among the 5 major forces, there are only a handful of existences that can elevate the Yuan Dao to the extreme realm in the 29 half-step 7th-level primordial realm, and they are all the reincarnated 8th-level primordial ancestors. However, it is too difficult for the 8th-level ancestor to be reincarnated, and even the 9th-level ancestor will snatch the treasure of reincarnation. This guy is the Taoist ancestor of the 9-layer building. Could it be a reincarnated Taoist ancestor? Otherwise, how could it be possible to comprehend the Yuan Dao to the extreme realm in half a step of the 7-layer original ancestor realm? A half-step 7th-level ancestor from Shidao Mountain asked curiously. It doesn't have to be the reincarnated Taoist ancestors. The reincarnated Taoist ancestors have a great advantage in comprehending Yuan Dao, but they don't have a big advantage in the level of life, and they are even at a disadvantage. It is more difficult for them to improve the level of life. 1. This guy's life level is already very close to 9.9, maybe there is really hope to enter 9.9. It is said that the reincarnated Daozu can't raise his life level to 9.9, unless he completely abandons everything in his previous life, including his memories. Can he hope to get rid of the influence of the past? But if he abandons even his memories, he may not be able to grow up. Said maybe he died when he was weak, or he couldn't become a practitioner. Yeah, so at present, none of the Taoist ancestors who have abandoned all reincarnations have grown up. Deep in the mountains, one by one, the 9th-level Taoist ancestors also noticed Yi Tian. Luo Han Daozu, this is the half-step 7-layer original ancestor of your 9-layered building. In this realm, the 9-layer Yuan Dao has been comprehended to the extreme realm. It's a bit evil. Could he be the reincarnated Taoist ancestor? I don't know, but the possibility of the reincarnation of the Taoist ancestor is not high. I can feel a trace of the shadow of the treasure of reincarnation, and he has never used the shadow of the treasure of reincarnation, unless he was also the ancestor of the 9-fold ancestor in his previous life, which can be blocked. Our perception. But we, the original ancestors of the 9 layers, did not have the reincarnation of Falun, and there is no such reincarnation treasure. That's right, it seems that you have a good luck in the 9-story building. This little guy really has hope of reaching life level 9.9. There is only hope, and even if you reach the 9.9 life level, you will not necessarily grow up in the future. These 9 ancestors chatted for a while, and stopped paying attention to Yi Tian. Certainly, Yi Tian has already entered the list of importance of the other 4 major forces, even if the Zhejiang Yuanzhu will not deal with him, but the top forces that have a bad relationship with the Zhejianglo may send someone to assassinate him one day. Yi Tian also knew that this time he had exposed the limitless Yuan Dao of the ultimate realm, which would definitely attract a lot of attention, and it was impossible to keep a low profile. However, he is extremely eager to raise his life level to 9.9, so expose it. A long time passed, and some of the half-step 7th level ancestors with weak Yuandao realms felt that they were affected, and they left here with no choice but to grit their teeth. If they continue to stay here, the foundation will be affected, and perhaps even the original ancestors of the 9 layers cannot help them solve the hidden dangers of their bodies. Of course, there are also the original ancestors of the 8 layers and the half-step 9-layer ancestors who could not bear the influence of the mountain and came out from the inside. After all, they are in a deeper position and have a greater impact. At this time, Yi Tian was not affected, he still felt very relaxed. Obviously, he could stay here for a long time. In addition, Yi Tian also feels that his life level has improved a lot, but he has never reached 9.9, because once he reaches 9.9 life level, he will feel it himself. There are huge changes. The effect has weakened a bit, it's better to move forward for a while. I have the infinite Yuan Dao of the limit realm, I should be able to withstand it. So, Yi Tian continued to advance a certain distance. After feeling that the position was a little deeper, he stopped. The tempering effect here is much better than the outermost periphery. Of course, he also knows that he is afraid that he will not be able to stay here for a long time. Another time has passed. Yi Tian used the mysterious power of this mountain to raise his life level a lot, but he also felt that his body couldn't bear it anymore. At this time, he saw a 9-fold original ancestor coming out from the deepest part of the mountain. More than one, a statue of the original ancestor of the 9 layers came out, and it seemed that something bad had happened. Unexpected, Yi Tian was taken away by a big hand and directly brought out the mountain. Next moment, this mysterious mountain was sealed. Mountain riots, this opportunity ends here, you can't continue to stay, otherwise you will all fall. One of the 9 ancestors revealed. The Taoist ancestors who come here are from the main body, and the avatar that is refined naturally does not need to improve the level of life. Therefore, once it falls here, it really falls. Yi Tian didn't know what happened in the depths of the mountain, but it was definitely not a good thing, so he wouldn't ask too much. Not long after, Yi Tian returned to Guquan Xuanlu. Endless Daozu 170, how much has your life level improved? Ju Sword Daozu said with anticipation. Lord, I haven't tested it yet, so I'm not sure. Yi Tian, 0. Immediately, Zhu Jian Dao ancestor personally took Yi Tian to test the level of life. After a while, the level of life came out. 9.8. At this moment, Yi Tian is really only one step away from 9.9. 9.8. Weijian Daozu also took a deep breath and was extremely shocked. Although I don't know how far Yi Tian's 9.8 is from 9.9, it is very likely that it has just reached 9.8, or it may be a lot more than the normal 9.8, and it is infinitely close to 9.9. But no matter what, Yi Tian had great hope of raising his life level to 9.9. 9.8. Yi Tian is also very satisfied with this result. He knows that he has not reached 9.9, so reaching 9.8 is his expectation. As long as he goes further, he can raise the level of life to the current limit, and in the future, he can break the boundary of the level of 99, and step into the level above the level of 100. And soon, the news that Yi Tian's life level reached 9.8 spread to the high level of the 9-story building. After a while, an order came. The 9-story tower ordered Yi Tian to enter the Dead River Sky Tower, one of the 9-story towers, and there is a great opportunity for him, which depends on whether he can raise his life level to 9.9. Chapter 2226 Zhoujiangji, the hope of replicating the original antiquities. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Soon, Yi Tian came to Dead River Sky Tower through Guquan Xuanlu. Here, Yi Tian met one of the ancestors of the 9 layers of heavenly towers of the Dead River, Luo Hendaozu. Luo Hendaozu is one of the 9 original ancestors of the 9-layered building, and his cultivation base has reached the late stage of the 9-layered original ancestor. And after coming here, Yi Tian knew what the chance was this time. Endless Dao ancestor, from today onwards, you can enter the 9-layer realm of the 9-layer building. If you want to upgrade from the level of life to 9.9, you can't do it with only external force. You will know when you go to the 9-layer realm. Luo Hendaozu said. Yi Tian was a little confused, but he still entered the 9 realms. At the beginning, Yi Tian didn't know what the 9 layers realm was, but he knew it after entering. This is a world of its own, and it completely blocks all perceptions from the outside world. Yi Tian found that the perception of himself and other duplicate bodies had become extremely blurred, and it took a long time to connect. And here, Yi Tian also saw 13 half-step 7-level ancestors. Among them, there were 2 other half-step 7-level ancestors who had competed with the Black Abyss giant beast's true blood to overwhelm him, Xuanchen Daozu and Jin Zan Daozu. Before, Yi Tian also saw these 2 in the mountain. Now it seems that the life level of these 2 has also reached 9.8. Afterwards, Yi Tian chatted with these half-step 7th-level ancestors, and only then did he know that Xuanchen Daozu and Jingxuan Daozu had just raised their life level to 9.8, and entered here a little earlier than Yi Tian. However, their understanding of the 9 realms is far beyond Yi Tian. After all, their elders are the original ancestors of the 9 layers. Endless Daozu, Zhouzhangji is actually a prison, imprisoning one by one special primitive antiquity. Xuanchen Daozu introduced. These special primitive antiquities are half-step 7-layer primitive ancestor realm, and they contain the breath of life, the level of life. All have reached a level comparable to R 9.9. It can be said that these primitive antiquities are the most perfect life forms. At present, practitioners who want to raise their life level to 9.9 cannot rely on external objects. Otherwise, it should be possible to accumulate a batch of half-step 7th-level ancestors with a life level of 9.9, giving us countless treasures that can quickly raise the level of life based on the background of the 9-level building. But in fact, so far it has not done, too. Then how do we raise the level of life to 9.9? Yi Tian asked in doubt. Endless Daozu, come with me. Xuanchen Daozu brought Yi Tian to a place in Zhouzhangji, where a special primitive ancient artifact was sealed, which looked like a snake and released purple lightning all over his body. This is a primitive antiquity similar to a kind of snake, and its life level is comparable to the half-step 7-fold primitive ancestor of 9.9. And near here, there is a stone monument. Endless Dao Ancestor. Through this stone tablet, you can use your will to enter the body of this primitive antiquity and comprehend its life breath. And there is also an inheritance on it, which introduces the secret of how to raise the life level to 9.9. But once accepted inheritance, you can't say it, and there's no way to say it. Therefore, I can't introduce it to you. Xuanchen Daozu said. Yi Tian understood, and immediately penetrated into the stone tablet, and quickly understood. The level of life reaching 9.8 is the limit of practitioners, and it is necessary to break the limit to achieve the level of life 9.9. To raise the level of life to 9.9, the easiest way at present is to comprehend the life breath of these primitive antiquities, so as to create a technique. Use this technique to transform yourself and cross the boundaries. Yi Tian muttered. And this technique is only suitable for oneself and cannot be suitable for others, because every half-step 7th-level primitive ancestor with a life level of 9.8 will be arranged by the Ju-level building to enter here, so as to understand these primitive antiquities whose life level is comparable to 9.9. During these years of enlightenment, Zhouzhanglo will also provide many resources to assist enlightenment, and even a drop of perfect Dao blood will be provided every few years. The so-called perfect Dao blood is the Dao ancestor who raised his life level to 9.9 in the half-step 7-fold original ancestor realm, and it comes from a drop of perfect Dao blood on their body. Through the perfect blood, you will also have some understanding of the life level of 9.9. However, even so, it is still unimaginably difficult to create a technique that raises the level of life to 9.9. For example, a half-step 7th-level ancestor of the 9-fold realm, Qingshu Daozu, has been in the 9-fold realm for 30 billion yuan eras, and there is still no hope. The longer one has stayed here for the 900 million yuan era, still no breakthrough, and a little crazy. Maybe in a few more years, he will give up and leave the 9 realms. Once you leave the Zhouzhangji, it will be regarded as giving up, and you will no longer be eligible to enter here. Soon, Yi Tian took a look at all the primitive antiquities in the 9-fold realm. There are 16 primitive antiquities here, all of which are different, and each of them has been blessed by the 9-fold primordial ancestor with various banning methods to ensure these primitive antiquities. Antiquities cannot escape from here. Yi Tian first relied on his own comprehension to comprehend for a period of time, and then communicated with other half-step 7-level ancestors, and occasionally listened to a 9th-level ancestor preaching. However, he still found nothing. It's so hard. Yi Tian thought to himself. If you don't rely on other means, even if you comprehend the endless years here, it is difficult to create such a technique. No wonder for a long time, there are not many half-step 7-level ancestors who have raised the level of life to 9.9 in the 9-story building. This is simply too difficult. Yi Tian muttered. So, he is ready to carry out another plan, which is to copy these original antiquities. Certainly, copying the original antiquities was so terrifying that he never dared to do so. But now, he knows why there is such a terrifying feeling, because from the 9-story building, all primitive antiquities are under the control of one place. That place is called the original ancient sea. The terrifying beings of the ancient sea Dajiaos control the endless primitive antiquities, and killing the primitive antiquities will not attract the attention of those terrifying existences. But if you try to capture and study the primitive antiquities, it will attract the attention of those terrifying existences. For example, the capture of the original antiquities and Holy Road Monument will cause the anger of those terrifying existences, so there is no Zhejiang Yuanzu to resist those terrifying existences, and there is no way to successfully arrest them. The same is true for the primitive antiquities of the Ninefold Realm. If the Ninefold Realm is shielded, so that the terrifying existence of those primitive ancient seas cannot be sensed, it will not be so safe here. If I want to copy these original antiquities, I must block the perception of the terrifying existence of the original antiquities, otherwise once I try to copy, it will definitely attract their attention, then I will be done. Yi Tian thought to himself. And after his inquiries, Zhou Zhongluo really has treasures that are terrifying in primitive antiquities, and can be redeemed with points. Chapter 2227 The Light of Life, Breakthrough. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Pillar of no trace, just choose it. Yi Tian decided. The unmarked pillar can create a special small world, and it is also one of the common treasures used by many forces to study primitive antiquities. It's just that the small world created by the Wuan Lord can't withstand too strong power, so the grade is very low, but it is enough for Yi Tian. Although the no trace pillar is very expensive, it is also within Yi Tian's tolerance range, and only 15,000 points can be redeemed. So, Yi Tian quickly exchanged a no-trace pillar. Subsequently, Yi Tian brought the unmarked pillar back to the primordial realm area, ready to place it in the primordial area and create a special small realm. Taikuyuan area boundary. After Yi Tian sent the Wuan pillar back, he began to integrate a lot of resources into the Wuan pillar to provide it with energy and then create a small world. And maintaining the no-trace pillar also requires a lot of resources, but Yi Tian's financial resources can support it. A special small world was opened up by Yi Tian. This small world completely blocked the perception of the outside world, similar to the effect of the 9 layers, but it was far inferior in terms of grade and area. The small world of 170 created by the unmarked pillar is only equivalent to the size of a large world. It can be said that it is too small, and it is not even as big as a primitive antiquity like the Holy Path Monument. However, it is enough. Yi Tian was in this small world and was going to copy one of the original antiquities in the 9 worlds. At this time, he did not feel the great terror. Apparently, this copy is finally free of any danger. Copy. Yi Tian started. Soon, a primitive ancient artifact was copied by Yi Tian, which was exactly the same as the primitive ancient artifact in the 9 layers realm, and the level of life was comparable to 9.9. This is the 9.9 life level. Yi Tian muttered. He felt the extraordinariness of this body, and he also had a better understanding of life level 9.9. Comprehending the body of these primitive antiquities is naturally completely different from using the body of these primitive antiquities to perceive the breath of life. Before, Yi Tian had been comprehending for a long time without any insight, but after copying this original ancient artifact at this moment, he soon had a little insight. In the years that followed, Yi Tian continued to try to understand the creation technique based on this primitive body. However, even so, it is not so easy for him to quickly create the spell he needs. After that, Yi Tian copied the bodies of the other primitive antiquities one by one, and presented the bodies of each primitive antiquity one by one, and then used these bodies to comprehend. In this way, Yi Tian's understanding of the 9.9 life level is getting deeper and deeper, and he has to test again and again. Anyway, he doesn't care about copying the damage of the body, so a special technique has gradually taken shape. Although there are still some flaws, it only needs to be perfected step by step before it can be truly created. Before you know it, hundreds of millions of years have passed. This time is nothing to the half-step 7th layer primitive ancestor, but to Yi Tian, it is a huge transformation. At this moment, he has truly created a technique to raise himself to the 9.9 life level, and it has been perfected to the point where it cannot be perfected any further. He didn't know what the other half-step 7 level primordial techniques that reached the 9.9 life level looked like. Perhaps the techniques created by other half-step 7 level primordial ancestors were flawed, or they might have affected a little bit of their foundation. However, the technique he created will not have any drawbacks, it is a truly perfect technique. He named this art the Light of Life. The Light of Life can raise Yi Tian's life level to 9.9, but it also needs a lot of life treasures. For example, primitive ancient beads and other treasures can be used. Anyway, with his wealth, he can naturally gather enough life treasures. Then, in the following years, Yi Tian asked his servant Qingshan Daozu to collect more primitive ancient beads, and high-quality primitive ancient beads were also required. Not only that, he himself is also exchanging points for more life treasures in the Zhouzhong building. He also doesn't know how many life treasures, naturally the more the better. After a period of time, Yi Tian has collected a huge amount of life treasures, and feels that it is almost the same CJFJ, and he can hit the life level of 9.9. He thinks that he should be able to break through this time. Endless Daozu, are you leaving the 9 realms now? Xuanchen Daozu and other half-step 7-level ancestors were shocked. Yi Tian just came in not long ago, so he was about to leave. Is it because you feel hopeless and give up? But when they got to this stage, they were only the last step away from life level 9.9, how could they give up so easily? Those who have cultivated here and realized tens of trillions, hundreds of trillions, and thousands of trillions or more of the half-step 7th level primitive ancestors did not choose to give up, Yi Tian gave up. They don't understand. I have created a technique, ready to go out and break through. 1. Yi Tian confessed. Immediately, these half-step 7th level ancestors looked at each other in dismay, some couldn't believe it, thinking that Yi Tian was bragging or deliberately making excuses. After that, Yi Tian still left, as for whether they believed it or not, he didn't care. Ancient Spring Xuanlu. After Yi Tian returned, Zhu Jian Dao Ancestor came to see Yi Tian. Endless Dao Ancestor, do you think so? Once you get out of the heavy building, you can't go in again. If nothing else, even the resource subsidy given by the 9 layers building is very high, even if there is no hope of breaking through at the moment, you have to stay in the 9 layers realm and continue to practice and enlighten. Yi Tian said truthfully, Lord Landlord, I have created a technique, and I will soon raise my life level to 9.9, so it is a waste of time to stay in the 9 realms. You, really created a technique to elevate yourself to the 9.9 life level? Weijian Daozu was stunned and couldn't believe it. Yes. Yi Tian nodded, if the landlord doesn't believe it, I'll know the truth when I come out of retreat. All right. Zhu Sword Dao Ancestor did not bother Yi Tian to break through. After that, Yi Tian retreated and practiced with peace of mind. The dense primordial ancient beads and countless life treasures are placed around, just to raise Yi Tian's life level to 9.9 level. Then, Yi Tian began to cast the Light of Life technique. In an instant, countless primitive ancient beads and other treasures were absorbed by the Light of Life with life energy. In the next moment, endless life energy poured into Yi Tian's body, quickly raising his life level. In the past, no matter how much life energy was absorbed, the level of life could not be improved. But under the action of the Light of Life technique, as if there were no shackles, his life level rose rapidly. After a long time, Yi Tian felt that his life level had reached the limit of 9.8 and had reached the bottleneck of 9.9 life level. Then, he began to gather a large number of life levels to attack this bottleneck. After spending countless treasures, the bottleneck in the dark finally could not stop the Light of Life. Boom! The bottleneck was broken, Yi Tian's body instantly swallowed the endless levels of life, and the level of life was officially broken. Chapter 2228 Breakthrough, the original 7-fold ancestor, the flower of life. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Breakthrough. Yi Tian doesn't need to test to know that his life level has broken 9.9. This is an unimaginable transformation. At this moment, his strength has not improved too much, but life level 9.9 represents future potential. It is not difficult for him to become the original ancestor of the 9 layers, and after becoming the ancestor of the 9 layers in the future, he will not be restricted by the level of life, and he can continue to improve. Afterwards, Yi Tian changed all the cloned bodies, and the life level broke through to -9.9. Ancient Spring Xuanlu. Yi Tian began to test his life level, and the results came out soon after. 9.9. This means that Yi Tian's life level has reached the level of 9.9, which is an achievement that the 9 layers building has not achieved in countless half-step 7-layer ancestors for a long time. And this result was soon known by the master of Guquan Xuanlu, Weijian Daozu. Immediately, Zhu Jian Dao Ancestor came to Yi Tian. Endless Daozu, you have really raised the level of life to 99. 1. Zhu Sword Daozu was shocked. It's not that he has never seen a monster. Some of the original ancestors of the 9-level building are also monsters. He also raised his life level to 9.9 in the half-step 7th level ancestor realm. But even so, there is no such evildoer as Yi Tian, the growth rate is too fast. He even suspected that Yi Tian was the reincarnation of an invincible 9-fold ancestor, so it was easy for him to raise his life level to 9.9 because he did it in his previous life. Otherwise there is no way to explain it. Endless Daozu, don't tell other Daozu about the fact that your life level has been raised to 9.9, I will block the news. Even if other Daozu suspects, but there is no definite evidence, they are not sure. This matter, except you, me, as well as the upper floors of the 9-story building, other members of the 9-story building are not qualified to know. Ju Sword Daozu reminded. Lord, I know, Yi Tian nodded. He also knew how monstrous he was to raise his life level to 9.9 so quickly. If it were really leaked out, the competitors of Zhouzhanglo would probably attack him. Therefore, temporary secrecy is the best option. 9 Towers, Headquarters. This place is located in a mysterious place. All the people who can come here are the 9-level ancestors of the 9-level building, and the general 9-level ancestors can't enter here. They are all at the peak of the 9-level ancestors. Each one is extremely powerful. The real pillar of the 9-story building. At this time, they were discussing about Yi Tian. 9-layered building recently gave birth to a half-step 7th layer ancestor with a life level of 9.9, do you all know? Understood, it is called Endless Daozu, very evil, and the speed of raising the level of life is very fast, far exceeding the speed I waited for at the beginning. Is it the reincarnation of someone? It shouldn't be, according to the time, there has been no reincarnation of the 9th level ancestors recently. There are only a few Taoist ancestors who raised their life level to 9.9 in the half-step 7 level ancestors, and there is no suitable reincarnation Taoist at all. Even if I wait to be reincarnated, it will be difficult to increase the level of life so quickly, and the speed of creation will be very fast, but if you want to raise the level of life to 9.8, there is no way to rely on the background of the previous life. The Endless Tao ancestor should have a big secret. Who doesn't have a big secret? To be able to grow to the level I've waited for, just relying on the 9.9 life level of the half-step 7th level original ancestors realm can't do it. In the future, this infinite Tao ancestor will focus on and be included in the first-class focus list. As for the reward, give him a primitive Tao treasure to save his life. Well, with the aptitude and potential of Endless Tao ancestor, if you are qualified to obtain a primitive Tao treasure for life-saving, let Ju Sword Tao ancestor give it to him. Ancient Spring Xuanlu. Yi Tian is stabilizing his life level, and he will be ready to attack the 7th level ancestor realm after a while. And not long after, Ju Sword Tao ancestor sent a primitive Tao treasure. The original Taobao is a treasure with higher value than the original ancient treasure, and its value is extremely high. In the bounds of the Hanhai district, a primitive ancient treasure is enough to make the half-step 8-fold primitive ancestor's heart, and even the Heiji Taoist ancestor of the half-step 8-fold primitive ancestor has only one primitive ancient treasure. Primordial Taobao. How terrifying its value is, the entire vast sea palace is not necessarily comparable to a primitive Taobao. Many primitive ancestors cannot afford a primitive Taoist treasure. But now, Yi Tian has actually obtained a primordial Tao treasure reward. Endless Tao ancestor, this is the original Tao treasure, the golden shuttle of time and space. Once activated, it will form an indestructible shield, and it can be bound to a coordinate. You can directly bind Guquan Xuanlu. If you encounter fatal danger, you can directly use the golden shuttle of time and space to return to the ancient spring building. Even if the enemy has a way to block the golden shuttle of time and space, I will sense the abnormality and report it to the top of the 9-layer building, and the original ancestor of the 9-layer will take action. For flowers, Ju Sword Daozu said with some envy. This kind of treatment, he was far less than the original. But he knew that Yi Tian was worthy of such treatment. Thank you, sir, Yi Tian said happily. In fact, he doesn't need such a life-saving thing. After all, to him, it's nothing to lose a duplicate body, but to get a primitive treasure for nothing, he is naturally very happy. 0. Immediately, he accepted the space-time golden shuttle. After Ju Sword Tao ancestor left, Yi Tian was ready to attack the realm of the 7th layer primordial ancestor. And Zhouzhanglo has a suitable treasure ground to break through, and he directly spent 10 points to enter a treasure land specially used for breakthrough in Zhouzhanglo, Janae. Afterwards, Yi Tian entered Janae, and started to attack the realm of the 7th layer primitive ancestor in an independent time and space of Janae. Half Step 7 is the original ancestor of the 7th layer, only need to understand the top Yuan Dao control skills, you can go to the 7th layer, but the probability of breaking through is high and low. For Yi Tian, breakthrough is naturally a 100% probability. He has now broken through the boundaries of 81 times, and created the supreme Yuan Dao control technique. His life level has reached 9.9. If he still cannot break through, then there will be no one of the countless half-step 7 level ancestors in many major regions able to break through. Breakthrough. Yi Tian easily shattered the shackles of the realm with the supreme mastery of Yuan Dao. Boom. Endless energy poured into Yi Tian's body from the Golden Sea, helping him to break through the shackles and break through to the realm of the 7th ancestor. At the same time, a considerable part of the energy combined with Yi Tian's own life breath turned into the flower of life. In an instant, an illusory flower of the Tao of life appeared behind Yi Tian, and as time passed, this Tao of life flower became more and more solid, and finally took shape. 9-layered life Tao flower, it's done. Yi Tian murmured. Chapter 2229 Growing Ancient Nest. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Now. Yi Tian is already the real ancestor of the 7th layer, and he has also condensed the flower of the 9th layer of life. Moreover, his 9-fold life Tao flower is still the most perfect 9th-fold life Tao flower, and when he hits the 8-fold original ancestor realm in the future, he can also condense the 9-fold Yuan Dao flower. Only in this way can a perfect foundation be created. After a period of time, Yi Tian completely stabilized the realm in the early stage of the 7th layer primordial ancestor. Today, his strength has skyrocketed many times. Those Taoist ancestors at the peak of the 7th level ancestor are probably not his opponents, but they should still be unable to beat the weaker half-step 8th level ancestor, Span. Afterwards, Yi Tian tested the life level in Guquan Xuanlu. Soon, the test results came out. 15.8. The life level is directly raised from 9.9 to 15.8, which is a huge improvement. If I can raise my cultivation to the realm of 170, the peak of the 7-fold original ancestor, there is hope that my life level will be raised to above 20. Yi Tian muttered. Certainly. At present, the improvement of life level is meaningless, and the main thing is to improve the cultivation. In the following days, Yi Tian used the resources on his body to improve his cultivation. With the consumption of a lot of resources, Yi Tian's cultivation is also slowly improving. It has to be said that the improvement of the cultivation base of the 7th level ancestor is very slow. Even if there are enough resources, it is unrealistic to quickly upgrade to the peak of the 7th level ancestor. Yi Tian's potential is invincible, but there is no advantage in improving his cultivation. Therefore, he is similar to the other 7-layer ancestors of the 9-story building, and he can only gradually improve his cultivation. He wants to raise his cultivation base to the peak of the 7th layer primordial ancestor, which cannot be achieved without hundreds of trillions of primordial territory epochs. Of course, if he obtains the kind of treasure that can quickly improve his cultivation, then he can reduce the time for cultivation to improve. Years passed, and billions of years passed by in the blink of an eye. At this time, Yi Tian's cultivation was still in the early stage of the 7th layer primordial ancestor, but at least he had improved a lot. Whether it was the extreme will or his physical strength, he was much stronger than before. However, he is still far from the middle stage of the 7th layer primitive ancestor. This day, there was a change in the truncation of Montenegro at the edge of the vast sea area. A large ancient nest appeared here. The endless black mist covered a large area, and even a small part of the boundary of the vast sea area was covered by black fog. And this huge ancient nest is hidden in the black mist. In the beginning, the Taoist ancestors in the boundary of the Hanhai district did not discover this place, but some Taoist ancestors occasionally searched for opportunities near the Black Mountain. Thus, the ancient nest here was discovered. Many Taoist ancestors tried to explore this ancient nest, but one by one fell into it. Immediately, many Taoist ancestors were frightened and did not dare to go in one by one. Later, some half-step 8-fold primitive ancestors came here, but found that this ancient nest attracted a large number of primitive antiquities, even if it was difficult to enter this ancient nest. However, after some fighting, several half-step 8-fold ancestors still approached this large ancient nest. However, they found themselves unable to enter this ancient nest. This ancient nest has restrictions, and at most only the Taoist ancestors of the peak of the 7th level original ancestor are allowed to enter. As a result, the great forces in the vast sea region gathered a group of 7th layer primordial ancestors and sent them into this ancient nest. After all, such a huge ancient nest is located here, it is not good if it is ignored. And a huge ancient nest is both a danger and an opportunity. Maybe there are many good things inside the ancient nest, and the value may exceed the special ancient nest like number 3 ancient nest. However, after a period of time, a small number of the 7 ancestors escaped. And part of the information about this ancient nest has also been explored. There are indeed many good things in it, but it is also very dangerous. There are too many primitive antiquities comparable to the peak of the 7th layer primitive ancestor. Therefore, most of the Taoist ancestors fell into it. If there are not enough 7-layer primitive ancestors to enter it, these primitive antiquities cannot be stopped at all. At first, this ancient nest did not cause much impact. However, with the passage of time, this ancient nest is still expanding. This caught the attention of Hanhai Wanglo, and passed the news to the top of the Zhejiang building. Hanhai district boundary. The high-level officials of the Hanhai Palace and other forces are all discussing here, and even dispatched a lot of the 7th-level peak ancestors to sit in the vicinity of intercepted Montenegro, and built bases one by one to be responsible for guarding this place. At this time, they no longer care about the chance here, but worry that this ancient nest will cause a terrible disaster to the boundary of the vast sea. After all, this ancient nest keeps expanding and expanding. How many times will it have to expand after a long time? Moreover, the bigger the ancient nest, the more terrifying the primitive relics bred inside. When that time comes, how can the Tao ancestor of the vast sea region be able to stop him? Therefore, the Tao patriarchs of the vast sea region are panicking. They have never seen such a thing. There is an ever-expanding large ancient nest in the Black Mountain where the boundary of the Hanhai area is cut off. Yi Tian was a little shocked. The ancient nest will expand, and he has never heard of it. However, the 9 layers building knew too many secrets. Yi Tian checked it a little and knew what kind of ancient nest appeared in the boundary of the vast sea. Growing ancient nest. According to Yi Tian's solution, this type of ancient weight has a high value and is difficult. Once the expansion of the growing ancient nest cannot be suppressed, the ancient nest will eventually destroy a large area and then return to the original ancient sea. Subsequently, Yi Tian consulted Zhu Jian Dao ancestor and asked how to destroy this growing ancient nest. The eightfold primitive ancestor cannot destroy this growing ancient nest. Even if it is attacked from the periphery, it cannot help the ancient nest. At least the top half-step 9-fold primordial ancestor or the 9-fold primordial ancestor can smash this ancient nest. But we can't take action. Once we do, it will trigger the existence of terror in the original ancient sea, and I'm afraid it will lead to a war. Once this kind of war broke out, the boundary of the vast sea region would not be able to hold it and would be shattered, said Daozu Weijian. That can only watch this ancient nest continue to expand and expand. Yi Tian frowned. No, there is still a way to destroy this growing ancient nest, but it can only rely on the 7-layer primitive ancestors. Send a large number of 7-layer primitive ancestors into the growing ancient nest, and kill a large number of primitive antiquities. Then plant a special plant-devouring life tree, which is a kind of life-devouring tree researched by major top forces. Special creatures are also plants researched from primitive antiquities. They can continuously absorb the source of growing ancient nests. However, once such a tree of swallowing life is planted, the primitive antiquity will attack frantically. Naturally it will be destroyed. But once it is resisted, swallowing the tree of life will inhibit the growth of the growing ancient nest, and eventually the growing ancient nest will be scrapped and reduced to an ordinary large-scale ancient nest. Even, swallowing the tree of life will produce the fruit of swallowing life. The fruit helps to improve the cultivation base and improve the level of life. It has an effect on the 8th level ancestors and even our half-step 9th level ancestors, which can improve our life level. When Zhu Sword Dao ancestor said this, Yi Tian understood. At this time, Weijian Daozu said again, any growing ancient nest has some special resources inside. At present, the growing ancient nest in the boundary of the vast sea has not yet spread, and the Zhejianglo will first send a group of 7 ancestors to enter there. You can also go in, and there may be amazing gains. Yi Tian nodded. Chapter 2230 Enter the Ancient Nest. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Hanhai district boundary. Yi Tian came back and brought Qingshan Daozu with him. Qingshan Dao ancestor is a half-step 8th level original ancestor, and he is also a Taoist who has comprehended the 9th level Yuan Dao. His strength is very powerful. Bringing Daozu Qingshan by his side can at least avoid some troubles. Daozu Mingshe, the ancient nest in the boundary of the vast sea, how is the situation now? After Yi Tian came back, he immediately saw Daozu Mingshe, the owner of the Wanghai Yellow Building, and asked. Daozu Mingshe said solemnly, I've been there, but I couldn't enter, so I could only clean up the primitive antiquities near the ancient nest, but it attracted a primitive antiquity that was comparable to the weaker eightfold primitive ancestor, so I retreated. Although his strength is very strong, it is also difficult to kill a primitive ancient relic of the weak eightfold ancestor level, so he can only give up. Afterwards, he learned from the ancestors of Mingxie that at present, since the first time the Hanhai district sent some 7-level ancestors into the growing ancient nest 29, so far no one has been sent there, but only to spy on the situation nearby. However, there are more and more Taoist ancestors gathered there. If there is no formation to cover up, otherwise these Taoist ancestors may have attracted countless powerful Taoist ancestors on the silent Black Sea. Soon, a large number of the original ancestors of the 9-story building took the Hanhai Yellow Tower as a transit, and quickly came to the boundary of the Hanhai district. At present, except for the 9-story building, several other top forces have been slower to get news, so the 7th-story ancestor has not been dispatched yet. Certainly, the number of the 7th-layer primordial ancestors dispatched by the 9-story building is not large, only a few thousand are sent, but these thousands of 7th-layer primitive ancestors are all official members, each of them is very defying, and their combat effectiveness is terrifying. Some of the Taoist ancestors at the peak level of the 7th-level ancestor were even more powerful than the half-step 8th-level ancestors in the bounds of the vast sea, and the best among them could even instantly surpass those half-step 8th-level ancestors. Compared with them, Yi Tian's current strength is simply too weak. However, he is not worried that he will fall, and his life-saving ability is not comparable to those of the 7 ancestors. This is his advantage. Outside the growing ancient nest, in one of the bases, Yi Tian and Qing Zan Dao ancestor came here and met Ji Yushan Dao ancestor here. Lord Endless Daozu, you are here, Ji Yushan Daozu said respectfully. Now Yi Tian's status and strength are far from comparable in the past, so he is more respectful to Yi Tian. Ji Yushan Daozu, your Yuan Dao is about to reach the limit, it seems that it won't be long before you can become the 8th-level ancestor. Congratulations in advance. Yi Tian congratulated. My achievements are not worth mentioning when compared with the infinite Dao ancestor. Ji Yushan Daozu said quickly. At the same time, he was also a little curious, he was about to comprehend the matter of the ultimate Yuan Dao, how could Yi Tian know? What he didn't know was that Yi Tian's endless Yuan Dao had reached the limit. In the realm of Yuan Dao, Yi Tian is higher than him, and since he is close to breaking through, the Yuan Dao aura on his body is hard to hide from Yi Tian, so Yi Tian saw through it at a glance. Soon, Ji Yushan Dao ancestor noticed Qing Zan Dao ancestor beside Yi Tian, and his pupils shrank immediately. He can sense the aura of Qingshan Daozu, which is much stronger than him. Definitely the Taoist ancestor who understood the ninefold Yuan Dao. Ji Yushan Daozu secretly said. Daozu Qingshan followed Yi Tian like a servant. Immediately, he thought that some of the official members with high status in the 9-story building had servants, so Qing Zan Daozu must be Yi Tian's servant. Thinking of this, he suddenly took a deep breath. The Endless Dao ancestor actually has a half-step 8th-level ancestor servant who understands the 9-level Yuan Dao. He thought that his current strength and status were not comparable to Yi Tian's servants, and he felt a little emotional. It didn't take long for the growing ancient nest to gather a large number of 7 ancestors. Of course, there are also many 8-fold ancestors of the 9-story building to sit in the town to prevent the emergence of powerful primitive antiquities. It is not impossible to even hide the half-step Zhouzhang ancestor of the Zhouzhanglo in secret. Soon, many 7 ancestors were ready to enter this growing ancient nest. The densely packed 7-fold ancestors entered the black fog, and those 8-fold ancestors and half-step 8-fold ancestors were responsible for cleaning up these primitive antiquities and clearing a passage for the 7-fold ancestors. Yi Tian did not act together with the 7th-layer primal ancestor of the 9 layers building, but acted alone. Before entering this ancient nest, Daozu Qingshan cleaned up the primitive relics around him. Soon, Yi Tian reached an entrance of this ancient nest. Qingshan Daozu, you stay nearby. Yi Tian ordered. Yes, Lord Endless Daozu. Qingshan Daozu respectfully replied. Yi Tian entered the growing ancient nest, and soon encountered a large number of primitive relics, many of them, but there were also many 7-layer primitive ancestors who entered here. Therefore, Yi Tian's pressure is not too great. Boom. Yi Tian shot with all his strength and used the supreme Yuan Dao control technique, the endless golden spear, to kill a primitive ancient artifact that was comparable to the 7th-layer primitive ancestor. Among the items that were helpful to him, he directly put away However, some primitive antiquities are very special and their strength is terrifying, even Yi can't kill them at 170 and can only choose to avoid them. This day, Yi found primitive relics similar to golden ropes inside this ancient nest, and was immediately very happy. It turned out to be a primitive relic, golden rope grass. This kind of primitive antiquity is extremely rare. Once you kill it, you can harvest a special golden substance, which can greatly improve the will of the pole, make the will of the pole stronger and stronger, and also improve the quality of the will of the pole. In the 9-story building, there is the task of acquiring the golden rope grass. Soon, Yi killed some golden rope grass and harvested a drop of golden substance. And the Taoist ancestor who discovered the golden rope grass was not only Yi, but also other good things were discovered. As a result, Zhou Zhongguo paid more attention to this growing ancient nest. As time passed, more and more ancestors of the 7th layer of the 9-layered building came here. Not only that, the 9-story building also dispatched several of the top 7-layer peak ancestors with a life-devouring tree seedling into the core area of this growing ancient nest and planted it. In an instant, countless primitive antiquities rushed towards the devouring tree of life. Fortunately, the Taoist ancestors of the 9-story building had already arranged a large number of formations here, intercepting these primitive antiquities. Therefore, in a short period of time, these primitive antiquities cannot break the magic circle and destroy the swallowing tree of life. Chapter 2231 The original antiquities that will explode. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. With the passage of time, Shidaoshan and other forces also knew about this growing ancient nest, so they also sent many 7 ancestors over. Moreover, they also brought the life-devouring tree seedlings and planted them inside the growing ancient nest. For this kind of situation, there is no way to stop the 9-story building. After all, this growing ancient nest does not belong to the 9-story building at present. As for the ownership of the growing ancient nest, it has little to do with Yi. At this time, he only wanted to get enough benefits inside this ancient nest. This day, Yi once again found a primitive relic with good things inside this growing ancient nest. This primitive ancient artifact is very large, but it reminds that it is similar to ginseng. It is blood red, and even releases blood red mist, which can devour practitioners. This is an ancient blood ginseng. Yi was a little excited. The blood ginseng antiquities are one of the most valuable 7-level primitive antiquities. The blood ginseng gold liquid contained in its body is one of the most suitable treasures for improving cultivation, and it also slightly enhances the level of life, which is very suitable for the 7-level primitive ancestor. Sure enough, this growing ancient nest contains a lot of precious primitive relics, which is not comparable to ordinary ancient nests. Without further ado, Yi shot directly. Although the blood ginseng ancient artifact is comparable to the powerful top 7 ancestors, it is still not Yi opponent. Boom! After several tricks, Yi smashed the blood ginseng ancient artifact and took away the blood ginseng gold liquid in its body. Afterwards, Yi began to search for blood ginseng artifacts in this area. He had a talent for copying. He searched for blood ginseng artifacts many times faster than other ancestors. In the end, Yi found 13 ancient blood ginseng artifacts and never found them again. As the years passed, a large number of 7th-layer primordial ancestors came in, and many 7th-layer primordial ancestors came out with great harvests. Of course, there are also many 7-layer primitive ancestors who stayed in this ancient nest forever and died at the hands of those primitive antiquities. But even so, there are still many 7th-layer primitive ancestors who ventured into this growing ancient nest. However, even if the countless primitive relics inside were killed, the growth rate of this growing ancient nest was only slightly suppressed, and it was still expanding. Yi is very clear that only when the devouring tree of life really grows, can this growing ancient nest be suppressed. However, the growth of the swallowing tree of life also takes time, and it does not grow at once. Hanhai Yellow Building. Yi replica body is staying here. At this time he is using the blood ginseng liquid to improve his cultivation. Gollum. Yi swallowed some blood ginseng liquid in one gulp and quickly refined it. Boom! The unimaginable energy quickly boosted his cultivation, and this boosting effect far surpassed other treasures. At this moment, his cultivation base is improving too fast. As expected of the blood ginseng gold liquid, the effect of improving the cultivation base is very good. With so much blood ginseng gold liquid, this time I even hope to improve the cultivation base to the middle stage of the 7th layer primitive ancestor W. Yi thought to himself. Another period of time has passed, and the battle situation on the growing ancient nest has reached a stalemate. Although the 9 layers tower and other forces sent more 7th layer primitives over, the number of primitive relics of the growing ancient nest has increased during this period. Primitive antiquities are endless. As long as the original ancient sea is willing, they can even make the ancient nest give birth to more primitive antiquities. Therefore, it is not so simple to completely win this growing ancient nest. On this day, after Yi Tian refined all the blood ginseng liquid and other resources, his cultivation base finally completed a breakthrough. The middle stage of the 7th layer original ancestor. Yi Tian has reached this realm, and his strength has skyrocketed. Although my cultivation base has only broken through a small realm, my strength is much stronger than in the past. With my current strength, it should be comparable to or beating the half-step 8th level ancestor, but it's still nothing like my servant Qingshan Daozu. Half-step 8-fold ancestor. 1. Yi Tian muttered. That is to say, he can only bully the half-step 8 level ancestor who has comprehended the 8 level Yuan Dao. But even so, he was satisfied. A growing ancient nest. With his cultivation in the middle stage of the 7th layer primordial ancestor, Yi Tian encountered some primitive relics that were difficult to kill in the past, but now he can easily kill them in seconds. Still, he couldn't help much. In the 9th level building, there are many 7-level ancestors who are stronger than him, but some 7-level ancestors did not come to the body, but refined a clone, and the strength displayed is not strong. However, the top 7-level ancestors sitting here are the 7-level ancestors who have reached a life level of 20 or more in the 9th level building and understand the ultimate Yuan Dao. Their strength is far beyond the current Yi Tian. If the situation is so severe that even they can't deal with it, Yi Tian can't do anything. Right now, Yi Tian can only kill some more primitive relics and obtain some resources as much as possible to improve his strength. Unexpected, a message came, which shocked Yi Tian. What? The tree of swallowing life planted by Zhouzhanglo was destroyed. Yi Tian was a little surprised. It must be known that the life-devouring tree has grown for a long time, and there are a large number of 7th-level ancestors sitting in the seat. There are dozens of 7th-level ancestors who are stronger than him, and they are protected by a large number of formations. Under such circumstances, it was suddenly destroyed, as if there was no chance to ask for help. Soon, he knew the specific news. It turned out that dense black-patterned egg stones suddenly appeared inside this ancient nest. This is a primitive ancient artifact whose strength is comparable to the peak of the 7th layer primitive ancestor. The black-patterned opal can accumulate energy and explode instantly, and the power it exerts is more than 100 times stronger than its own attack power. If the 7th level ancestor of the same level encounters a black-patterned opal, and if its life-saving ability is not good, it will be instantly killed by the self-destruction of the black-patterned opal, and everyone will die together. Black-patterned opal stones are primitive antiquities, and they are not practitioners. They have no fear of Zhao's thoughts, so they can easily explode themselves. This time, dense black-patterned opal appeared, directly surrounding the swallowing tree of life in the 9-story building, and exploded instantly. In an instant, all the surrounding formations were annihilated, and each Taoist ancestor was blown up and annihilated. This time, dozens of official members have fallen, and other Taoist ancestors can only escape, otherwise the loss will be even greater. Dozens of official members have fallen. Zhouzhanglo has suffered a great loss this time. Yi Tian frowned slightly. You must know that every official member of the Zhouzhang building is extremely evil. In the half-step 7th layer primitive ancestor realm, you must raise your life level to 6 or above, and comprehend the 9 layers Yuan Dao, in order to be eligible to become an official member of the Zhouzhang building. For example, in the bounds of the Hanhai district, it takes a long time to hope to have a full-fledged member of the 9-story building. And Hanhai Wanglo only has a few official members. This loss is equivalent to annihilating nearly 10 Wanglo all at once. Chapter 2232 Changes, Penetrate the Arm of the Ancient Nest. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. I thought that the 9-story building could successfully make the devouring life tree fully grow and swallow the origin of the growing ancient nest, thereby suppressing the growing ancient nest and turning it into an ordinary large ancient nest. Opalescent stone. Yi Tian felt a little surprised and did not expect this situation at all. And Zhouzhanglo did not expect it, otherwise, certain measures would definitely be taken. Then, Yi Tian got the news again. This time, not only the 9-layered building suffered heavy losses, but also several other top powers, who lost a lot of Taoist ancestors. Therefore, in a short period of time, the major top forces can no longer suppress the expansion of the growing ancient nest. After all, this time the 9-layered building and other forces suffered heavy losses, and the other 7-layered ancestors would not dare to plant the tree of life devouring. Those Taoist ancestors are also afraid of death. If they don't want to, it is impossible for Zhouzhanglo to force them to do it. In fact, the 9-story building has never forced it. Most of the 7th-story ancestors who came here have accepted the mission. For example, protecting the swallowing tree of life is also a task, but unfortunately this time the loss is heavy, and other official members are afraid to take this task again. Otherwise, if the dense black patterned opal exploded, it would be really incomprehensible. Like the peak Taoist ancestors of the 7th level original ancestors of the 9-level building, all of them are talented evildoers, with high future potential, and are qualified to guard the 170-level Daozu who devoured the tree of life. I hope to become the original ancestor of the Ninefold. Such geniuses naturally do not want to fall, so they will not take this task lightly. Therefore, in a short period of time, no Taoist ancestor is willing to plant the tree of swallowing life. Certainly, even if no Taoist ancestors are willing to plant and protect the tree of life, there are still many Taoist ancestors who enter the growing ancient nest to hunt primitive antiquities and collect resources. After all, although the self-destruction of the black patterned egg stone is terrifying, if it cannot form a sufficient number, those top 7-layer primitive ancestors are still not afraid. 9-story building. At this time, several ancestors of the 9 layers were discussing the matter of the growing ancient nest, and several of them were specially responsible for this matter. Luohan Daozu said at this time, "Everyone, this time the growth-type ancient nest incident is a bit strange, although the birth of the growth-type ancient nest has the arms of those guys in the original ancient sea, but they are only push, and will not cost to interfere. It stands to reason that the growing ancient nest can't breed so many black pebbles, let alone let these black pebbles explode at the same time. It must be those guys who paid CJFJ to hook up with the growing ancient nest and forcibly I sent a batch of black patterned opal. There have been many growth-type ancient nest incidents in the past, but this has never happened." Another 9-layer ancestor also agreed. "Yes, this time is indeed a bit strange. The group of guys from the original ancient sea did not interfere too much with the growing ancient nest before, so we suppressed the growing ancient nest many times, so that these growing ancient nests have become ordinary large-scale ancient nests. This time, they really want to let this growing ancient nest engulf the boundary of the vast sea area, and let the growing ancient nest take the boundary of the vast sea area into a part of the original ancient sea. But they should be very clear that we can't make them succeed. The price they want to pay is not small. If they are not careful, a war at our level will really break out. It's a pity that we can't take action to destroy this growing ancient nest, otherwise the passage into the original ancient sea will be opened, and they will easily cross over. No matter what the purpose of those guys is, we can't let the boundary of the vast sea region disappear. Otherwise, if something happens, we will lose a lot. Issue the mission again to let the 7th level ancestor enter the growing ancient nest to plant the tree of life devouring. As long as the reward is high enough, there will definitely be 7-level ancestors entering. You can't give up planting the tree of life devouring because of the great loss. In addition, some forces from other regions can send a large number of 7-level ancestors to enter. Our 9-level building lacks ordinary 7-level ancestors, and those ordinary forces are not lacking. As long as they give benefits, they will go. Yes, let's do it." Soon, countless forces in many regions learned about the growing ancient nest, and then sent the 7th-layer primitive ancestor over. After all, the 9-story building has also given some benefits this time, and you can also get a lot from entering the growing ancient nest. Many 7th-story ancestors are naturally willing to come here. In an instant, the number of the 7-layered ancestors in this growing ancient nest increased by hundreds of times. Soon, the number of primitive relics of the growing ancient nest was slaughtered less and less. However, those terrifying beings in the original ancient sea are still constantly throwing in a large number of original antiquities, many of which are powerful enough to be the top 7 original ancestors of the 9-story building. As a result, the 7-fold ancestor among the practitioners also suffered heavy losses. But relatively speaking, the original antiquities lost more. After all, this primitive antiquity wants to rely on an ancient nest to compete with the 7-layer primitive ancestor dispatched by so many forces. How could it be possible? Even if there is a backer behind it, but the backer cannot come, it is not very useful. At this speed, the primitive relics inside this growing ancient nest will be killed, as many as they come. In the end, this growing ancient nest has no original relics, and it wants to expand and expand. In fact, all forces think so. However, something changed that day. Inside the growing ancient nest, the endless void was torn apart, and a rough black hand reached over, and immediately threw a cloud of black blood over. In an instant, the black blood began to fuse with the growing ancient nest, and the growth rate of the ancient nest has increased by tens of thousands of times, and it is expanding wildly in the outside world. At the same time, the black arm also began to crack inch by inch, and it quickly shattered into blood mist, and also integrated into the growing ancient nest, making the growing ancient nest stronger. Seeing this scene, Yi Tian was stunned. What's going on? Retreat. A Taoist ancestor discovered the change, and he didn't know the reason, but he didn't dare to stay, and directly withdrew from this growing ancient nest. At the same time, one after another, the ancestors of the 9 layers appeared inside this growing ancient nest. Their eyes seemed to penetrate the growing ancient nest, and they stared at the arm that was completely turned into a blood mist. It is a primitive antiquity at the level of the 9-fold original ancestor, and it is absolutely comparable to the peak of the 9-fold original ancestor. Forcibly send the blood that promotes the transformation of the growing ancient nest at the cost of its own injury, and even sacrifice a part of itself to strengthen the growing ancient nest. Nowadays, it is difficult for ordinary ancestors to break through this growing ancient nest. Luo Handaozu did not understand the purpose of the original ancient sea and the group of guys. This is almost a serious injury to the existence of the peak of the 9-layer original ancestor. This kind of price, even the destruction of a large region is not worth it. Chapter 2233 The Spying of the 9 Ancestors. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. The existence of the pinnacle of the 9-fold primordial ancestor is difficult to be severely damaged, but once it is really damaged, it is also difficult to recover, and it requires too many resources. Therefore, it is too expensive to do so. Zhouzhanglo didn't understand it, nor did the Zhouzhang ancestors of Shidaoshan and other forces. Each one was very confused. Now, all the 7 original ancestors came out of the growing ancient nest. After all, when this incident happened, no one knows what happened. If something big happens and it stays in it and falls, wouldn't it be the end? And Yi Tian naturally came out. Soon, the 9-layered patriarchs of the 9-layered building and other forces came, and many of them were at the peak of the 9-layered ancestors. These 9-layered ancestors were stronger than the Luo Handaozu, and they were also the real pillars of the major forces. If it was before, there was no need for a growing ancient nest to disturb them at all, and the Arhat Daozu came here. This is enough. But this time is different, so the existences of the peak 9 ancestors were also alarmed. Yi Tian stayed in the Yellow Sea building, waiting for news. Soon, he got some news from Zhu Jian Daozu. Landlord, are you saying that it was a self-mutilating body of a 9th-level peak of the original ancestor, the original ancient relic, which strengthened the growing ancient nest, and also carried a mass of black blood, which made the growing ancient nest expand wildly? Yi Tian said in shock. Yes. Weijian Daozu nodded. This is the news I got from Luo Handaozu, which is why so many Zhouzhang ancestors came, because this matter is too serious. This kind of thing has never happened in the past. Matter. Lord, that arm feels like the arm of some kind of creature. It doesn't look like a primitive antiquity. Even a primitive antiquity like a humanoid practitioner, the body is not flesh and blood. Yi Tian asked with some doubts. Then it involves objects. Weijian Daozu explained. The general primitive antiquity looks like an object, such as stones, weapons, trees, etc. Which is completely different from the practitioner. Moreover, the general primitive antiquity has no will. All behaviors follow instinct, but once they reach the level of the 9-fold primitive ancestor, the primitive antiquities will be transformed and changed in shape. They not only have a powerful will, but also have high intelligence, and they will be transformed into the most suitable body for combat. I see. Yi Tian now understands what a substance is. However, he still doesn't understand why those existences have to expand their growth-type ancient nests with their self-mutilating bodies. However, Weijian Daozu didn't understand either. Lord, what are the peak powerhouses of the 9-layered ancestors of the 9-layered building going to do? Do you want to destroy this growing ancient nest? Yi Tian asked again. Weijian Daozu shook his head. No, although the peak powerhouses of the 9-fold primordial ancestor can still smash the long-formed ancient nest, if they do it, the impact will be too great. And once it is really broken, the channel formed will be too large. When it gets bigger, if the passage cannot be closed for a long time, a more terrifying war will break out. If this is the purpose of the original ancient sea, wouldn't we be fooled? Yi Tian nodded slightly, feeling that Zhu Sword Dao ancestor was right. But this matter is what the 9th-level ancestor needs to worry about. He is only the 7th-level ancestor, so it is meaningless for him to worry. In the years that followed, countless seventh-layer primitive ancestors were waiting in the bounds of the vast sea, but they still did not dare to enter that growing ancient nest. With the continuous expansion of the growing ancient nest, it finally covered the two ends of the truncated Montenegro, and even spread to the nearby community boundaries. On this day, a community was covered by a growing ancient nest. Except for those Taoist ancestors and a small number of creatures, all other creatures were swallowed up. At this time, Yi Tian also began to worry that if the growing ancient nest continued to expand, it would one day cover the Taiku Plains area. After all, the Taikuyuan region is his hometown, so he naturally does not want such an end to happen to the Taikuyuan region. But if it is really unavoidable, he can only remove the human race from the Taikuyuan region, and also remove his former friends and forces. 9-storied building shouldn't let this growing ancient nest continue to expand, right? Yi Tian secretly said. 9-story building. A group of 9 ancestors is having a meeting to discuss the matter of the growing ancient nest in the boundary of the vast sea. Previously, they had been investigating for a long time, and they had also used many treasures to spy on that growing ancient nest, but nothing came of it. Not only them, Shidaoshan and other forces have not investigated for flowers. But as this growing ancient nest continues to expand, that growing ancient nest is getting stronger and stronger, and it is not good for this to continue. At this time, one of the elders of the Zhejianglo headquarters, the true water Daozu at the peak of the Zhejiang Yuanzu, spoke up. According to our inference, the group of black blood carried by the original antiquity at the peak of the 9-fold original ancestor in the original ancient sea should be the blood of the original antiquity such as the space-time ancestor beast. A strong primitive ancient artifact, such a blood value is very high, which can make the growing ancient nest continue to evolve and improve, and can also improve the life level of the 9-fold ancestor. If the 9-fold ancestor whose life level reaches 99, once condense the 9-fold life Dao flower, then with the help of the blood of the space-time ancestors, you can easily enter the 100 life level. Such good things can be many times more valuable than a growing ancient nest. 0. True Water Daozu said. The other 9 ancestors also nodded, agreeing with this inference, and also believed that it was the blood of the space-time ancestor beast. A Taoist ancestor has to be sent into the original ancient sea to understand the situation. I suspect that something has happened there, otherwise this situation will not occur. Luohan Daozu suggested. Junshui Daozu nodded. I also think that a Daozu will be sent over to investigate, but who will be sent over? The general Zhejiang Yuanzu is easy to be discovered when he goes there, and it will be difficult to come back. At this time, a Taoist ancestor suggested, please go to the dark Taoist ancestor. He has the strongest life-saving ability, and is also good at hiding. He once sneaked into the original ancient sea and successfully returned. Now, he has also cultivated to the peak of the 9-fold original ancestor. The strength is unfathomable. If he goes, the success rate will be very high. Daozu Junshui nodded slightly. Daozu Wei is indeed very suitable, he is in retreat now, I'll go and invite him. Afterwards, many Taoist ancestors discussed for a while, and then ended the meeting. Then, True Water Daozu contacted Wei ancestor. The Dark Daozu left the customs, and agreed to the request of the True Water Daozu, ready to go to the ancient sea. I, ancestor of the Dark Dao, returned from the original ancient sea at the cost of heavy damage, which is an important piece of information. A paragraph. This information made Zhejianglo completely understand why the group of primitive antiquities frantically cultivated the corpses in the long-formed ancient nest. Chapter 2234 The Giant Rock Tribe has reached a cooperation. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Hanhai Yellow Building. Yi Tian received the message from Ju Sword Dao ancestor. Not only him, but also many members of the 9 layers building received this message. At this moment, Yi Tian finally knew why the primitive antiquities of the original ancient sea were so crazy, and he wanted to let this growing ancient nest grow up at all costs. It is really because those primitive antiquities are forced to be forced. In the original ancient sea, the original antiquities of Hua not only possessed the strength of the 9-fold ancestors but also possessed extremely high wisdom. With wisdom, naturally there will be disputes. Therefore, the primitive antiquities of the original ancient sea are also divided into tribes, and the primitive antiquities of each tribe belong to the same category. For example, primitive antiquities such as primitive ancients are a tribe. Each tribe is located in the primitive ancient sea, and the competition is naturally great. After all, they have reached the level of the material, and they also want to go one step further, and they also want to grow their own ethnic group and cultivate more people of the material level. However, no matter how abundant the resources of primitive antiquities are, there are limits, so it is normal for tribes to fight among tribes. This time it was a place where a tribe was about to go extinct, and there was no helper, it was in a desperate state, and there were too many offended tribes, and they couldn't get along in the original ancient sea. So, this tribe is ready to escape the original ancient sea. But the primitive antiquities of the object level are not ordinary primitive antiquities, even the primitive antiquities of the half-step ninefold primitive ancestor level can stay in the silent Black Sea under the condition of following the rules. But they can't stay in the silent Black Sea for a long time, otherwise they will still be sucked back by the original antiquities. Therefore, this tribe wants to create a super large ancient nest that will exist forever in the silent Black Sea, which is enough to be easy for the 9 ancestors. Once such a growth-type ancient nest is successfully built, it will be enough to resist the attack of a group of 9 ancestors, which is also the hope of this tribe. All the primitive relics of this tribe can stay inside this super large ancient nest and break away from the primitive ancient sea. If it is arranged again, it will be difficult for those powerful tribes in the original ancient sea to break into this super large ancient nest, and it is difficult for the 9 ancestors of the major regions to break this super large ancient nest. In this way, the tribe survived. I didn't expect the truth to be like this. Yi Tian was a little surprised. He was a little curious about how the 9 layers building and other forces would deal with this matter. Would they destroy this super large ancient nest before it was fully formed, and then go to war with that tribe, or would it be mainly cooperation? No one has stipulated that practitioners cannot cooperate with primitive antiquities. Those ordinary primitive antiquities have no objects and no wisdom, but this tribe's primitive antiquities have wisdom, and they have the capital to negotiate. A period of time has passed, and the growing ancient nest has not been destroyed, which proves that the major forces are afraid to cooperate and talk with this tribe. It will be revealed soon whether it is a collapse or a cooperation. After all, this tribe can't support it for too long. The original ancient sea, a 9-fold original ancestor came to the giant stone tribe and negotiated with the giant stone tribe. The megalithic tribe is a primitive antiquity dominated by dark boulders. There are 86 primitive antiquities in this tribe, and tens of thousands of primitive antiquities are comparable to the original ancestors of the Eightfold. There are more primitive antiquities at other levels, almost endless. But even so, the giant stone tribe still belongs to the not powerful tribe in the original ancient sea. Belonging to Daozu, don't go too far, our giant stone tribe can't agree to your request. The patriarch of the giant stone tribe, the bloodstone at the pinnacle of the ninefold primitive ancestor said coldly. Gui Daozu smiled and said, Chief Bloodstone, your megalithic tribe is in a very bad situation. You are besieged by powerful tribes, and the losses are very serious. During this period of time, you have lost 11 chemical-level tribesmen, and even some of them are still alive. 2 clansmen who have fallen from the peak of the material level. If you continue, how long can your megalithic tribe last? If you want to enter the silent Black Sea, our 5 major forces are also at risk. 1. Bloodstone said solemnly, belonging to Daozu, you are just letting a weaker region border, there is nothing to lose to you, the reward we gave is rich enough, you have made a lot of money this time. Gui Daozu said, Bloodstone Patriarch, it's useless for you to tell me this, I am just a representative of the 5 major forces of the silent Black Sea, just to explain the requirements of the 5 major forces. For the 5 major forces, it is what you want to give now. That reward is useless. So, if you want to settle in the silent Black Sea, you must pay enough price. Give us some time to think about it. Bloodstone said. Okay, my clone is staying here. Return to Daozu said. He is not panic at all, he is a clone anyway. Among the 5 major forces, there are only a few of the original ancestors who have clones, and each clone is very precious. After all, the materials that allow the ancestors to refine the clones are too rare. But if he loses his clone this time, the 5 major forces will compensate him. Soon, some time passed. This day, the giant stone tribe negotiated with Daozu Gui again. This time, after many days of negotiations, they finally reduced their requirements a little on the basis of the requirements of the 5 major forces, and finally completed the negotiations. At this point, the giant stone tribe paid an extremely heavy price in exchange for the non-attack of the 5 major forces of the silent Black Sea, allowing them to enter the silent Black Sea. The giant stone tribe must first pay a portion of the rewards to the 5 major forces, and the latter rewards will be paid after the super large tribes are completely completed, after the arrival of the giant stone tribe's existences. Not long after, Yi Tian received a notice from the 9-story building that he was not allowed to enter the large ancient nest at the boundary of the vast sea. And, let the countless practitioners from the boundary of the vast sea to evacuate here, and take away everything that can be taken away. Hanhai Palace. A group of Taoist ancestors are extremely depressed, their roots are in the boundary of the vast sea area, and now they have to give up here. However, they can't fight without evacuating, they can't compete with this super large ancient nest. The order of the 9-story building has been issued. Although they are not affiliated forces of the 9-story tower on 5.9, they do not dare to stay here, otherwise they will all die when the time comes. At the same time, Hanhai Yellow Nuclear Station evacuated, and the 9-story building has evacuated the Hanhai and Yellow buildings. It seems that a cooperation has been reached. I did not expect that both practitioners and primitive antiquities can reach a cooperation. Yi Tian said with emotion. Immediately, he began to pay attention to the situation of cutting off the other end of Montenegro. If this super large ancient nest expands towards the boundary of the primordial plains region, he must evacuate the human race and other forces. However, after observing for a period of time, he found that the main nest of this ancient nest is expanding on this side of the vast sea area, and the other end of the truncated Montenegro hardly expands. Seeing this scene, he breathed a sigh of relief, at least the human race didn't need to leave their lair. Chapter 2235 Boulder Ancient Nest. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. There are hundreds of thousands of communities in the Hanhai district. There are too many creatures in each community. Many creatures have no backers at all. Who will help them evacuate? Even they didn't even know about the growing ancient nest, and they didn't know that something was going to happen to their community. Just because their strength is too weak, they can't touch this matter at all. Of course, the small forces that received the information began to withdraw at all costs, but they could not even enter the silent Black Sea until they were not in the realm of Taoist ancestors. But the small forces will not transfer all the creatures under their command. After all, the price to be paid is too great, and a lot of time is wasted. Therefore, they will only remove a part of the elite, which will lead to many creatures being abandoned. Yi Tian is also very sorry to see this, but in fact it is so cruel. He didn't help, because even if he helped, he wouldn't be able to help. This is a matter involving a large region and hundreds of thousands of people in a community. What can he do? The Taoist ancestors of the 29 realms of the Hanhai district and some of the creatures have withdrawn to the place where the boundary of the Hanhai district is close to the vast sea wind belt. There are also some community boundaries here, which should not be covered by the super large ancient nests. After all, no matter how large the super large ancient nest is, it can't be this big, so it should be very safe to stay here. To put it simply, a part of the boundary of the Hanhai district will be covered, and other areas are still safe. What needs to be evacuated now are the creatures in this part of the area that are covered. However, there is no force to withdraw to cut off the other end of Montenegro, because the resources there are too poor, and if you go there, even the usual practice cannot be guaranteed. Time flies, the growing ancient nest has grown at an incredible speed, and it has become a real super large ancient nest. Moreover, many community circles have been swallowed up by this growing ancient nest. It can be said that this time is a catastrophe for the boundary of the Hanhai region. However, the boundary of the vast sea region is a dispensable existence for other large regions, and it is a very cost-effective transaction to lose most of the territory in exchange for the countless benefits of the giant stone tribe. The growth rate of this growing ancient nest is getting more and more terrifying. Yi Tian muttered. He knew that this was the expansion of the ancient nests that accelerated the growth of those primitive antiquities, and that the ancient nests of the growing type had swallowed the origin of many community boundaries, and it would also accelerate the growth. At this rate, it won't be long before it really stabilizes. Another time has passed. Finally, on this day, this growing ancient nest was completely stabilized, like an incomparably terrifying behemoth sitting on the boundary of the vast sea region, occupying half of the area of the vast sea region. Compared with this ancient nest, the other ancient nests are simply small points, which can be ignored. Yi Tian never thought that an ancient nest could be so big, countless times larger than the community. At the same time, this ancient nest also has a name. Boulder Nest. Inside the Boulder Nest, the Boulder tribe spent a huge price to forcibly open the passage between the Boulder tribe and the Boulder ancient nest, and let the dense original antiquities enter this Boulder ancient nest from the Boulder tribe territory. Then, one by one, the primitive antiquities of the chemical grade also came in, and they also moved the countless resources in the giant stone tribe. Even some treasures, they paid the price and forcibly moved them. Of course, the Boulder tribe still retains some chemical grades and countless primitive antiquities cannon fodder to resist other tribes. In addition to those primitive antiquities of the chemical grade, other primitive antiquities are afraid that it will be too late to withdraw here, and they can only be reduced to real cannon fodder. But this is also impossible. In the case of multiple tribes invading and attacking the megalithic tribe, it is naturally impossible for them to withdraw all, and many primitive antiquities must be sacrificed. And those primitive antiquities without any wisdom are naturally the objects of sacrifice, and the primitive antiquities of the chemical grade are not willing to sacrifice. After a long time, the primitive antiquities that could be evacuated were all evacuated, and the last remaining morphological primitive antiquities also came along the passage. Destroy the passage. Bloodstone, the patriarch of the Boulder tribe, ordered. Boom! A physicist-level powerhouse shot and destroyed this passage. At the same time, they reinforced the treasures on the megalithic ancient nest, making the defense of the megalithic ancient nest stronger and isolating the connection between the megalithic ancient nest and the original ancient sea. In this case, if those tribes want to leap over, they must gather a large number of peak material masters and pay an unimaginable price before they can leap over. This still has to be the case that the giant stone tribe does not resist, otherwise it will still fail. It's done, our Boulder tribe is finally safe. Bloodstone smiled. Patriarch, we still have to be careful. The 5 forces of the silent Black Sea are much stronger than us. If they destroy us at all costs, we still can't bear it. A chemical-level primitive relic reminded. Don't worry, we have no threat to him. If we destroy us, we can still kill some of their 9 ancestors at all costs. They absolutely do not want to have such a loss. Bloodstone said. Immediately, he began to order these primitive antiquities to transform the ancient boulder nest, making the ancient boulder nest into a truly powerful fortress. At the same time, these material-level primitive antiquities gathered countless stone-like primitive antiquities above the silent Black Sea and gathered around the ancient megalithic nest. Then, countless black mist shrouded this ancient megalithic nest, forming a natural barrier, and the countless stone primitive antiquities stayed in the black mist. If any practitioners approached here, they would be attacked by these innumerable primitive antiquities. This day, in 187, the 9 ancestors of the 5 forces gathered here in the ancient giant rock nest on the boundary of the vast sea, and asked for the remaining half of the reward. Bloodstone did not dare not to give it, but honestly gave the benefits one by one. After this time, the Boulder tribe is afraid that it will be difficult to recover for countless years, but it is enough to keep the tribe and avoid the destruction of the tribe. If the tribe is gone, no amount of resources will belong to others. Ancient Spring Xuanlu. Yi Tian stayed here and knew some of the situation of the giant stone ancient nest, but he didn't go any further. After all, he can't enter the ancient megalithic lair either. But on this day, Weiji and Daozu gave him a place to enter the giant stone ancient nest. Lord, I want to enter the ancient megalithic nest. Yi Tian was puzzled. What did he do in there? Weiji and Daozu smiled and said, Endless Daozu, this involves the cooperation between the giant stone tribe and the 5 forces. This time, the giant stone tribe paid a heavy price to be able to come to the silent Black Sea, and in addition to giving a lot of resources, also we have to give us some treasures for a period of time. Some of these treasures are very helpful for you to improve your life level and improve your cultivation. And these treasures have been moved to the inside of the ancient megalithic nest. After a period of time, you 7 ancestors can enter inside the megalithic lair, enjoy the benefits of those treasures. So this is Yi Tian understood, and there was some expectation in his heart. Chapter 2236 Entering the ancient megalithic nest, the cultivation base has skyrocketed. Open black lens bracket full order. Time passed slowly, and another time passed. At this time, the Boulder tribe had completely transformed the Boulder ancient nest and completely stabilized the situation. As a result, the Juchonglo and other forces began to let a group of Taoist ancestors enter the giant stone ancient nest to use the resources of the giant stone tribe to improve their strength. In this regard, the Boulder tribe naturally did not object. After all, this itself was one of the requirements of the original negotiation, and it was one of the trivial requirements. Naturally, it was impossible for them to go back on this request. In that case, it will lead to a war with forces such as Zhouzhonglo, which is not good. Boulder Nest. Yi Tian came here with a group of Taoist ancestors from the 9-level building, among which there are many half-step 7-level ancestors, 7-level ancestors, half-step 8-level ancestors, 8-level ancestors, and 9-level ancestors. It can be said that there are Taoist ancestors at all stages of cultivation. And Yi Tian also met some acquaintances, such as Xuanchen Daozu and Jingshuan Daozu, who were still in the realm of the half-step 7th level ancestor. Xuanchen Daozu, where did you come from? Yi Tian asked curiously. He knew that once he got out of there, he wouldn't be allowed in. And Xuanchen Daozu must be the real body this time, not a refined clone, so she must have come out of there. Yes, Xuanchen Daozu nodded, we came out from there, but with permission, Luohan Daozu said that there is an opportunity here, and there may be hope for us to comprehend the art. Therefore, Zhou Zhonglo made an exception and let us come out once, even if you don't understand it this time, you can still enter there again. So it is. Yi Tian nodded slightly. Xuanchen Daozu really wanted to ask Yi Tian if he had raised his life level to 9.9 in the half-step 7th level ancestor realm, but after thinking about it carefully, even if he really broke through, it must be a secret, so she didn't ask. Soon, Yi Tian was separated from Xuanchen Daozu and others. After a while, Yi Tian was taken to the core area of the ancient giant stone nest. Compared with the previous ancient nest, today's giant stone ancient nest has changed too much. It's all the primitive antiquities of the stone type. Along the way, Yi Tian did not discover other kinds of primitive artifacts. You must know that there were many kinds of primitive antiquities here, but now none of them can be seen. Obviously, they were all expelled by the giant stone tribe, and only the primitive antiquities of the stone type are left here. The other primitive antiquities were of little value to the megalithic tribe, so they were all removed. Anyway, there is really a shortage of primitive antiquities, and they can control countless primitive antiquities from the silent Black Sea at any time. It didn't take long for Yi Tian and the other 7-layer primitive ancestors to come to a dark lake, and there was a primitive antiquity of the chemical grade stationed near the lake. Yi Tian glanced at the primitive antiquities of the object level, and this was the first time he saw the primitive antiquities of the object level. Before, that only saw an arm, naturally it was not really seen. What a horrible smell! Yi Tian was secretly surprised. The other party obviously restrained his breath, but the breath emanating invisibly was enough to prevent him from approaching, and the strength gap between the two sides was too great. The strength of this material-level primitive antiquity is absolutely no less than that of Luohan Daozu, and it may even be stronger. At this time, Zhou Zhonglo and the Zhouzhong ancestors of other forces talked and communicated with this primitive antiquity. The material-level primitive antiquity nodded in agreement and let Yi Tian and other Taoist ancestors enter the lake. And the original ancestor of the 9-layered building told the value of this lake. This lake can improve your life level, and you can also absorb energy to improve your cultivation. You can practice here for 30 million yuan eras. After the past 30 million yuan eras, you must come out, and then we will come back to pick you up. The 9-fold ancestor left after he finished speaking. Yi Tian entered this lake and immediately felt an incomparably pure and powerful energy. The level of this energy was very high, higher than any kind of energy that Yi Tian had absorbed in the past. However, this energy is difficult to absorb. But even so, if a 7th-layer primitive ancestor absorbs energy to cultivate here, he can greatly improve his cultivation. The only pity is that only 30 million yuan eras can only be practiced here. If you continue to practice here, you will definitely be able to improve your cultivation to the peak of the 7th-level ancestors without taking too long. The Boulder tribe is too rich, this is probably just the tip of the iceberg. Yi Tian muttered, but if you think about it carefully, if the giant stone tribe is not rich, the 9-story building will not negotiate and cooperate with the giant stone tribe. It must be that the giant stone tribe gave too much, and the 9-story building will finally compromise. Life drain. 1. Swallow. Darkness. 1. A family of Yuan Dao ancestor Fu was motivated by Yi Tian to help him absorb the energy in this pitch-black lake. Boom. An extremely terrifying absorption speed appeared, which made Yi Tian madly absorb the energy in this pitch-black lake. This speed was many times faster than other Taoist ancestors. And such a terrifying absorption speed naturally attracted the attention of the original antiquities of the giant stone tribe. Quote. This 7th-layer original ancestor. The original antiquities of the chemical grade. Long Shi frowned slightly, he felt that Yi Tian was a little weird, this absorption speed is too abnormal. Even the absorption speed of the 8th-level ancestor is not necessarily comparable to Yi Tian, but the effect of the Black Spirit Lake on the 8th-level ancestor is not large, but it has a great effect on the 7th-level ancestor. Forget it, no matter how much he absorbs a 7th-level ancestor, he can't absorb too much energy. As if he didn't see it, Long Shi stopped paying attention to Yi Tian. In fact, even if Yi Tian really absorbed all the energy of the Black Spirit Lake, he would not dare to say anything. After all, this is one of the contents of the cooperation between the giant stone tribe and the 9-layered building, and he must let these 7-layered ancestors practice here. Time passes slowly. Yi Tian is constantly absorbing the energy of the Black Spirit Lake here, and his cultivation base and life level getting money jiao are rapidly improving. Unconsciously, Yi Tian practiced here for nearly 30 million years of the original era. At this time, Yi Tian's cultivation base had already broken through to the peak of the 7th level ancestor, and he was only one step away from the peak of the 7th level ancestor, as if he would break through soon. The original ancestor of the 9 layers of the 9 layers came over, and Yi Tian and their cultivation time had come. So, Yi Tian they came out. Yi Tian originally thought that this time he was going to leave the ancient megalithic nest, but he did not expect that this 9 layers primordial ancestor would bring him to another place. This is an incomparably huge divine tree art. The moment he saw this divine tree, Yi Tian recognized the identity of this divine tree, the original ancient artifact. However, this primitive antiquity is probably not ordinary, and its strength is absolutely terrifying. Even if it does not reach the material level, it is definitely a half-step 9-fold primitive. However, it lost its life, just a body. Chapter 2237 Breaking Through the Peak of the 7 Original Ancestors. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. A phantom level primitive antiquity has been wiped out, leaving only the body. This should be made by the phantom level powerhouse of the giant stone tribe. Yi Tian secretly said. Afterwards, he was sent into the inner void of this divine tree together with the other 7-fold primordial ancestors, and saw the white liquid substance. This is the void white holy liquid, and you can practice here for 10 million Yuan dynasty era. The void white holy liquid can improve your life level, and it also has the effect of enhancing your will. The 9-fold ancestor of the 9-story building reminded. Yi Tian waited for the Taoist ancestor to nod his head, indicating that he knew. Afterwards, the original ancestor of the 9 layers left, leaving only Yi Tian and the other ancestors of the 7th layer to absorb the void white holy liquid here. Similarly, there is also a phantom level powerhouse guarded by a giant stone tribe. Under the supervision of this transformation level powerhouse, the ancestors of the 7th layer can only honestly refine the virtual white holy liquid to improve their life level and will. Void white holy liquid, the effect should be good. Yi Tian sat cross-legged in the virtual white holy liquid and began to absorb the energy of the virtual white holy liquid. Boom! The pure and gentle energy nourishes Yi Tian's body and will, making Yi Tian's life level rise rapidly, but his will is also improving. However, the main function of the virtual white holy liquid is to improve the level of life, and the will is only an incidental improvement. After 187 years, Yi Tian has been absorbing the void white holy liquid with all his strength. As before, the speed at which Yi Tian absorbed the void white holy liquid was also very terrifying, which made the material level powerhouses of the giant stone tribe somewhat reluctant. This little guy in the 9-story building is absorbing the virtual white holy liquid too fast. This time the loss is huge. I am afraid that it will take a long time to make up for these virtual white holy liquid. This chemical level powerhouse secretly said. Before you know it, 10 million years of the original era have passed. Yi Tian and the others also came out of the void inside this divine tree, and they were not allowed to continue refining the virtual white holy liquid. Yi Tian also wanted to get a few more chances in the giant stone tribe, but the 9-layer ancestor of the 9-layer building directly brought Yi Tian and the others out. Clearly, this chance is over. Of course, Yi Tian was also satisfied. After all, he entered the ancient giant rock nest this time, and his strength has improved too much. At present, his cultivation base has been promoted to the late stage of the 7th layer primitive ancestor, and he is only one step away from the peak of the 7th layer primitive ancestor, and his life level has skyrocketed. What a horrible ascension! Ancient Spring Xuanlu. Yi Tian came back here and started to test his life level. He knew that his life level had skyrocketed a lot, but he didn't know exactly how much it had reached. Soon, the test results came out. 21.5. My life level has reached 21 or more. Yi Tian was surprised. According to his previous plan, he feels that his cultivation base has reached the peak of the 7th level ancestor, and his life level is expected to reach 20 or more. After all, in the 9-story building, it is very rare for the 7th layer primitive ancestor to have a life level of more than 20. Among them, some 7th layer primitive ancestors stayed in this realm and tried their best to improve their life level. They wanted to break through with a stronger foundation, cause the life level to break through to more than 20. But now, Yi Tian's cultivation base is still in the late stage of the 7th level ancestor, and his life level has broken through to above 21. This is an unimaginable improvement. The 2 treasures of the giant stone tribe are very good. If I keep practicing there, I have the hope of raising my life level to above 25. Yi Tian firmly believed. Of course, there must be a similar treasure in the 9-story building. It's a pity that there are too many Taoist ancestors in the 9-story building. They can't stand such consumption after being used from generation to generation. Therefore, the use of those treasures is very strict. Many treasures are in a state of ban, and they will only be opened once for a long time, and it is impossible to open them all the time. And even if it is turned on, it will require a lot of points to enter it. This time, it is to use the treasure land of the giant stone tribe to practice, so the 9-story building is so generous and it does not require any points and costs. Deep in the 9-story building, Zhu Jiandao ancestor was a little surprised when he knew Yi Tian's test results. The life level is 21.5, the life level of the endless Taoist ancestors is improving too fast, and the other CJFJ, 7-level ancestors who entered the giant stone ancient nest with him, the improvement is far from so great. Weiji and Daozu felt so incredible at the moment, this simply broke his cognition. At this speed, Yi Tian will definitely become the 8th-level ancestor very quickly, unlike other Taoist ancestors who would stay in the 7th-level ancestor and the half-step 8th-level ancestor for a long time. With the growth rate of the endless Taoist ancestor, there is hope to catch up with that matter. As long as he goes all out, he will become the half-step 8-fold ancestor at his life level. Once he becomes the half-step 8-fold ancestor, I will just give him a spot. So, he immediately called Yi Tian. The owner. Yi Tian stood in front of Zhu Jiandao ancestor and said respectfully. Zhu Jiandao ancestor said, "Endless Tao ancestor, I called you this time to tell you something." This time, Zhou Zhongguo obtained the entrance to a secret place from the giant stone tribe. This secret place is located between the silent Black Sea and the original place. The place where the ancient rivers meet, there are many opportunities there. However, due to the danger and instability there, the 9-story building will only send half a step of the original ancestor to the 8th-layer. Originally, you are not qualified to pass by your cultivation base, but you are growing faster now. Soon, are you sure you can raise your cultivation to the half-step 8th-level ancestor realm within 10 billion years of the original era? If you have this confidence, I can give you a place. Have, Yi Tian said without any hesitation. He is now very close to the peak realm of the 7th-layer primordial ancestor, and he can definitely break through if it takes hundreds of millions of Yuan era. At that time, with his Yuan Dao realm plus the life level, the speed of rushing to the cloud step 8-fold primitive realm will be very fast. Therefore, within the 10 billion yuan era, he has a 100% hope of breaking through. Okay, I'll reserve this quota for you, but if you can't break through, this quota will be given to others. Weiji and Daozu reminded. Yes, master, Yi Tian replied. Then, he left and returned to his residence. In the years that followed, Yi Tian would spare no expense to exchange the useful treasures on his body, and then exchange them for the resources he needed. Moreover, he spent almost all the points of the 9-story building and entered the treasured places where he could improve his cultivation. He wants to raise his cultivation base to the peak of the 7th-layer primitive ancestor as quickly as possible. Finally, after the 600 million yuan era, the cultivation base officially broke through to the peak of the 7th-level ancestor. When I first broke through to the peak of the 7th-layer original ancestor, I didn't expect to break through so quickly, it was countless times faster. Thanks to the resource treasures of the giant stone tribe, otherwise it would have been impossible. Yi Tian said excitedly. Now, his cultivation base has reached the peak of the 7th-level ancestor, which is already the pinnacle of the 7th-level ancestor. If he wants to make further progress, he can only hit the half-step 8th-level ancestor realm. For other primordial ancestors, it is undoubtedly unimaginably difficult to become a half-step 8-fold primordial ancestor, but it is very easy for him. Chapter 2238 Half-step 8-fold ancestor. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Under normal circumstances, if the 7th-level peak primordial ancestor wants to be promoted to the half-step 8th-level primordial ancestor, he needs to comprehend his own Yuan Dao to the perfect state, which is the minimum requirement. Secondly, there are also requirements for the life level, that is, the minimum level is 10. If the life level of the 7th-level primordial ancestor has not even reached 10, then it is difficult to become a half-step 8-level primordial ancestor. To complete the Yuan Dao, the life level reaches 10 or more, and after meeting these two conditions, you can go to the half-step eightfold original ancestor. Of course, if Kankan only reaches life level 10, the success rate is not high, and there is still a possibility of failure, and once you fail, it will be extremely difficult to succeed in the second attack. I can now hit the half-step eightfold original ancestor realm, just use the limitless Yuan Dao, tempering the body. Yi Tian muttered. It is somewhat similar to the six-fold primordial peak impact half-step 7th level primordial. The 7th level primordial peak impacting half-step 8th level primordial needs to temper the body again on the current basis, breaking the boundary between the 7th level primordial and the ancestor's peak. If the life level is low, it is difficult to break this boundary, or even impossible to break the boundary. This is also the reason why the life level is required to be above 10. However, there are not many boundaries in the half-step eightfold original ancestor. There is only one boundary. Once it is broken, it is the half-step eightfold original ancestor. And the half-step eightfold ancestor does not need to continue to break the boundaries. There are still dozens of boundaries in the half-step sevenfold original ancestor, but the half-step eightfold original ancestor only has this boundary. Of course, even if it is a boundary, it will take a long time to break. The 10 billion yuan era is not enough for the average 7th level ancestor peak Daozu, and it takes longer years, but he can't take that long. In the following years, Yi Tian used the limitless Yuan Dao crazy resources to temper his body. Also, his life level is very high, so the tempering effect is very good. In addition, Yi Tian has no shortage of resources, so the speed of body tempering is even faster. In the following days, Yi Tian kept retreating and did not do any tasks, just to break through the half-step 8th level original ancestor realm. Before you know it, the 5 billion years of the original era have passed. This day, Yi Tian has finally reached the limit of existence. As long as he breaks it, he can become the half-step 8th level ancestor. Go to Gimhai to break through. Yi Tian opened his eyes and walked out of the retreat. Janae is a treasure land specially used for breakthroughs in the 9 layers building. The last time he broke through to the original ancestor of the 7th layer was in the Golden Sea treasure land of the 9 layers building. Of course, he went up and entered the area suitable for the half-step 7th level ancestor. This time, he went to the area where the 7th layer primitive ancestor peak should go. He needed more points, and he needed a full 500 points to enter there. After Yi Tian paid 500 points, he came to a deeper area of Janae, ready to make a breakthrough here. Breakthrough. Yi Tian broke the boundary with a single thought, and his body began to absorb the energy of Janae, undergoing a huge transformation. Gradually, Yi Tian's body absorbed a huge amount of energy and completely stabilized in the half-step 8th level ancestor realm. At this time, his strength was much stronger than before. Half-step 8th level ancestor, finally reached this state and met the requirements. Weijian Daozu should give me that spot. Yi Tian thought to himself. Immediately, he told Weijian Daozu the news of his breakthrough. Afterwards, Ju Sword Daozu gave him a place to enter that secret place. At this time, there are still more than 4 billion years of the original era before entering the secret place, so he can continue to practice and improve his own strength. However, he has reached the realm of the half-step 8th level original ancestor. In addition to raising his own cultivation to the limit again and improving some extreme will, only by raising the level of life can he improve some strengths. After all, he has now raised Yuan Dao to the extreme realm, and has mastered the supreme Yuan Dao control skills, so there is no way to continue to improve in other aspects. It can be said that he only needs to cultivate for a period of time, and he can even attack the realm of the eightfold primitive ancestor. Of course, it is impossible for him to attack the realm of the eightfold primitive ancestor now. Ordinary half-step eightfold ancestor would be so eager to attack the eightfold ancestor, he naturally needs the most perfect way to break through to the eightfold ancestor. How to break through in a perfect way, that is, after condensing the embryos of the ninefold Yuan Dao, to break through to become the eightfold original ancestor. In that case, the condensed Yuan Dao Dao flower is the Zhouzhong Yuan Dao Dao flower. However, most Taoist ancestors did not know this secret at all, thinking that after comprehending the supreme Yuan Dao control skills and comprehending the ultimate Yuan Dao, they could go to the eightfold Yuanzu. And the eightfold ancestor who broke through in this way is also a weaker eightfold ancestor, and he will be in the eightfold ancestor's realm all his life. For flowers, although the goal of many Taoist ancestors in their lives is to be the original ancestor of the eightfold, and then stay in a not powerful region and become the top existence, that's all. But Yi Tian's goal is the existence of the ninefold primordial ancestor or even stronger, so he naturally wants to pursue perfection. Breakthrough is not in a hurry for the original ancestor of Ye, let's prepare for entering that secret place first. Yi Tian then stabilized his realm, raised his cultivation base to the current limit, and raised his life level by the way. In this way, a period of time passed, and it was gradually time to enter the secret place. Although the cultivation base has not reached the limit of the half-step 8th level ancestor, it is almost there, and the will of the extreme way has improved a lot. As for the level of life, Yi Tian tested his life level, and it has surpassed 30, reaching the level of 29.9. When he first broke through to the half-step 8th level original ancestor, his life level suddenly soared to 29, and after a period of time, he has once again risen to some life levels, infinitely close to 30. Compared with when he just broke through, his current strength has increased by at least 30%. Ancient building, Yi Tian saw Ju Sword Dao ancestor again. This time, Weijian Daozu was going to take him to the entrance of that secret place. And Guquan Xuanlu is not only Yi Tian, a half-step 8th level ancestor, in addition to him, there are 6 half-step 8th level ancestors who have won this place. Are there so few places? Yi Tian has some doubts. But soon I figured out that it wasn't because of the small number of places, it was because the number of official members of the half-step 8-fold original ancestral level of Guquan Xuanlu was small. Like the members of the 9 layers building, they basically realized the ultimate Yuan Dao when they were at the peak of the 7th layer primitive ancestor, and they definitely created the supreme Yuan Dao control skills. Therefore, once they become the original ancestors of the half-step 8-fold, it will not take long for them to increase their strength to a level where it is difficult to progress. In that case, they can only attack the realm of the 8-fold primitive ancestor. Even if condensing Yuan Dao embryos will waste a long time, it still cannot let them stay in this realm for too long. Therefore, the number of half-step 8th level ancestors in the 9-story building is definitely not many, and even many times less than the 8th level ancestors. Chapter 2239 Great Opportunity, White Crystal Emperor Flower. Open black lens bracket full order close black lens bracket. Yi Tian and the other half-step 8th level primitive ancestors followed Weijian Daozu from Guquan Xuanlu, transiting again and again, and then came to a dark place where time and space were distorted. Close all perceptions, without the cultivation of the half-step 9-fold ancestor, unable to look directly at or perceive everything here, even I can't protect you. Ju Sword Daozu reminded. Yi Tian and several other Taoist ancestors immediately closed their perceptions and did not dare to try to probe everything here. After closing the perception, Yi Tian even felt the slightest movement in the outside world, as if tempting him to let go of the perception. This place is horrible, Yi Tian secretly said. If it wasn't for the half-step Zhouzhang Yuanzu, they wouldn't be here at all. After all, once the perception is closed, it is impossible to recognize the direction, and it can only move randomly, and it is impossible to go to the real destination at all, and it is very likely that it will go to the wrong place and die. With the passage of time, Absolute Sword, 187, Dao Ancestor took Yi Tian and the others through this area. You can let go of your perception. Ju Sword Dao Ancestor forcibly opened the physical perception of several Dao Ancestors and informed them. At this time, Yi Tian let go of his perception. This is the entrance to the secret place. Yi Tian looked at the empty space in front of him, a layer of grey aura shrouded it, and the farther place conveyed a terrifying aura. Yi Tian didn't even dare to investigate, as if there was danger as soon as he probed. This is the entrance to the secret place, don't go to explore the place outside the secret place, otherwise your will collapse. In addition, don't touch this grey aura, it is a special power from the original ancient sea, even if it is the original ancestors of the 8 layers did not dare to touch them. Wait a minute, the ancestors of the 9 layers of the 9-layer building will open a passage for you to enter. 1. One more thing to remind you, this secret place is provided to us by the giant stone tribe. Although they have mastered the entrance to this secret place has been controlled by a powerful tribe in the original ancient sea, and there are many primitive antiquities. Therefore, after you enter this secret place, it is very likely that you need to fight with those primitive antiquities. According to our deduction, the most powerful primitive antiquities in this secret place are only half-step 8-fold primitive ancestors. But some primitive antiquities at the half-step 8-fold primitive level are not necessarily weaker than you. Weijian Daozu said this. Several Dao ancestors were slightly solemn and did not dare to be careless. Boom! The grey aura was torn apart by the 9 ancestors, forming a passage. Go in, Ju Sword Daozu shouted. Shish! One by one, the 8th level ancestors flew into this passage and entered the secret place. Primitive Ancient Sea, Blood Tribe. This tribe occupied the secret place, and stationed some primitive antiquities at the entrance of the other end of the secret place, and there were 6 chemist-level tribesmen sitting here. At this time, these few demon-level clansmen had already sensed the shock of the secret place. There are creatures entering the secret place, they should be cultivators, it seems that this secret place has been exposed. A demon-level blood man said. We can't get in, neither can the 9-level ancestors of the silent Black Sea practitioners, they can only send a group of half-step 8-level ancestors to enter. But our half-step 8-level ancestors have almost no wisdom, and can only be sent to us. Even if you send more orders, you will easily suffer losses. Let Chi-Chi enter, he is very powerful, and he has completed the semi-material, and has wisdom. If he is in the past, he can wise clansmen and kill those practitioners. Another chemical-level blood man suggested Road. As soon as Chi-Chi was mentioned, several other chemical-level blood people agreed again and again. He is also at the half-step 8-fold original ancestry level, can enter this secret place, and has wisdom, which is one of the successes of their blood tribe's research, and has also completed the half-object state. It can be said that Ki will inevitably become a material-level powerhouse in the future. A blood-colored figure arrived here very quickly, and it was the Chi-Chi that these demon-level powerhouses spoke of. Ki has seen several elders. Chu respectfully said. Chi-Chi, you bring a group of clansmen at the half-step 8th level ancestor level in, and if you encounter cultivators, kill them. 1. A chemical-level elder ordered. Yes, Chu responded. In secret, Yi Tian came in, and immediately separated from the other half-step 8th level ancestors. There are not many primitive antiquities in the secret place. Although it is controlled by the Blood Tribe does not need to send too many primitive antiquities in. The Bloody Tribe only needs to protect a part of the resources that are useful to them, so they don't need many primitive antiquities to guard. In addition to the distant antiquities in the secret place, there are also some creatures born in the secret place itself. The original antiquities are to prevent these creatures from destroying resources, and their mission is just like that. But as the half-step 8th level primitive ancestors of the major forces entered the secret land, the Blood Man tribe let Chi Yan lead a large number of half-step 8th level primitive ancestors and 7-level primitive antiquities in. No, Yi Tian soon encountered a group of blood people. These blood people are completely composed of special blood energy, their appearance is similar to people, and their recovery ability is very powerful, and the degree of difficulty to kill is no less than that of the original ancient people. Boom! Yi Tian smashed a piece of blood people with a single blow, and those blood people that were comparable to the peak of the 7th level ancestor were directly annihilated, while the blood people that were comparable to the half-step 8 level ancestor level did not die, but recovered quickly. As expected of a blood man of the Blood Man tribe, it's so hard to kill. Yi Tian began to get serious, and directly cast the endless golden spear, instantly piercing these half-step 8th level primitive ancestors. Took it. However, nothing good has been bred in the blood human body, and there is no benefit after killing it. However, there are a lot of resources in the secret land, and this group of blood people protects a treasure land of resources. After killing them all, Yi Tian began to scrape the resources here. Hey, this is the White Crystal Emperor flower. Yi Tian discovered such a good thing and was immediately shocked. The White Crystal Emperor flower is a good thing that can greatly improve the level of life. It takes 1,000 trillion yuan 5.9 years from birth to maturity. After maturity, there are only 3 petals, and it takes 5,000 trillion years of the original era for each additional petal to grow. But now, this White Crystal Imperial flower has grown 8 petals, which shows that this White Crystal Imperial flower has been nurtured and grown here for tens of thousands of trillions of years. The Bloody Tribe should be the White Crystal Emperor flower that wants to be cultivated into 9 petals. Once the White Crystal Emperor flower grows into 9 petals, it will even be effective for Taoist ancestors whose life level exceeds 50. However, Yi Tian didn't have time to wait here to slowly grow into 9 petals. So, Yi Tian picked this White Crystal Imperial flower directly. With this 8-petaled White Crystal Imperial flower, he even has the hope of directly raising his life level a lot. This secret place is really a place of great opportunity. I found the White Crystal Emperor flower casually. Yi Tian was quite excited. Chapter 2240 Chi and #039, S shot. Open black lens bracket seeking full order close black lens bracket. Soon, Yi Tian scraped away the resources here and went to another place. Over time, more and more of the original antiquities were killed. However, none of the half-step 8-fold ancestors of the major forces have fallen. After all, the half-step eightfold ancestors who are qualified to come here are all very enchanting half-step eightfold ancestors, and their life-saving ability is very strong, so it is difficult to be killed. Somewhere in secret, a blood mirror appeared in Chi's hand, and through this blood mirror, he could monitor all the primitive relics in the entire secret place. The strength of these cultivators is very strong, and it seems that they are enchanting geniuses among cultivators. For so long, these primitive antiquities have not even killed a cultivator. Chi Yan knew that if this continued, the elders of the blood tribe would be furious, and he had to kill these practitioners. I have to do it myself. Chu decided. Of course, these half-step 8-layer ancestors are very powerful, and even if he fights alone, he cannot kill them. Therefore, he needs to join forces with other members of the blood tribe to cast the secret techniques of the blood tribe to kill these practitioners. In the bloody tribe, except for the powerful ones, the other 29 tribes have no status and can be sacrificed at any time. Therefore, this time, he is ready to sacrifice a lot of half-step 8-fold ancestors to assist himself. Walk. Chi Yu took 18 half-step 8th level primitive ancestors and thousands of affiliated primitive antiquities comparable to the 7th level ancestral rank to surround and kill a half-step 8th level ancestral ancestor. These primitive antiquities are too weak, and the elders asked us to be careful before coming here. Haha, just these primitive antiquities, even if there are hundreds of primitive antiquities of the half-step 8th level ancestor, I can easily kill them in seconds. Daozu Lycan murmured after killing a group of primitive antiquities at will. As the half-step 8-fold original ancestor of Shadao Mountain, he has such arrogance. Unexpected, he found that a group of primitive antiquities emerged around him, seemingly surrounding him. Hey, he actually surrounded me. He didn't worry at all, these primitive relics were too weak, even if they were numerous, they would not be able to kill him. But after a long time, his pupils shrank, and he sensed an aura no less than his own, and even brought him a hint of death crisis. This is Lycan Daozu Sa Chi. This blood man was obviously completely different from other blood man, the other party had wisdom at first glance, and the shape was completely different from blood man. The other blood men of the blood man tribe could hardly see the human form, as if they were a mass of blood, but Chi-Chi had the form of a man. Boom! Chi-Chi and Lycan Daozu fought together in an instant, and there was no nonsense at all. However, other primitive antiquities did not work. Sure enough, this blood man is wise, otherwise under normal circumstances, other primitive antiquities will definitely take action when they see the cultivator. Lycan Daozu secretly said. Of course, he didn't panic. He thought that Chi-Chi's strength should be similar to his, and it was impossible to kill him. Sure enough, Chi-Chi and Lycan Daozu fought for a while, and couldn't tell the winner. It can be said that their strength has already stood at the limit of the half-step 8-fold original ancestor. When the difference in strength is not large, it is naturally difficult to distinguish the winner. Sure enough, I can't kill this half-step 8th level ancestor, I have to sacrifice other blood people. Chu secretly said. Immediately, he ordered other primitive ancients to perform forbidden arts and dedicate their power to him. This method is a temporary fighting method developed by the bloody tribe, which can sacrifice countless weak primitive antiquities to gain short-term and powerful strength, thereby killing the enemy. Boom! A large number of primitive antiquities around began to use forbidden techniques to sacrifice themselves. In an instant, countless blood-colored energies poured into Chi Yan's body in an inexplicable way. At this moment, Chi-Chi's power seemed to break the shackles and stepped into the original ancestor of the Eightfold. But in fact, he is still not the original ancestor of the Eightfold. But his strength has been terrifyingly improved. Of course, this kind of improvement won't last long, and it's not a problem if it can be used to kill Lycan Daozu. Boom! Chi Yan's right hand instantly pierced through the defense of Lycan Daozu, directly smashing half of his body. Daozu Lycan's face changed, knowing that he was not an opponent. Must escape. Lycan Daozu tried to escape from Chi Yan. However, a blood mirror appeared in the void, which directly made the means of Lycan Daozu to escape useless, and he could not break through the time and space here to escape. And relying on his own speed, he can't escape at all. Puff puff. Lycan Daozu's body was shattered again and again by Qi. Even if he had a lot of life-saving things, he still couldn't stand such consumption. Every moment, Chi attacked countless times. Finally, Daozu Lycan showed fear on his face. He can't take it anymore. Boom! Under another attack, Lycan Daozu's entire body was completely blown up and could no longer be recovered. At this point, the half-step 8th level ancestor of Shadao Mountain was killed. 10 mountains. At the moment when Lycan Daozu fell, they knew it for the first time. Lycan has fallen. one of the 9 ancestors said regretfully. As soon as these Zhejiang primitive ancestors communicated, they knew that Lycan Daozu had gone to a secret place, and apparently fell in a secret place. Lycan is also the Taoist ancestor who condensed the 9th level life Tao flower. Now the life level has reached 29, he has comprehended the extreme way, and has also created the supreme mastery of the primordial Tao. His strength has reached the limit of the half-step 8th level original ancestor. How could it be possible to fall into that secret place? Yeah, with Lycan's strength, even if he is besieged by countless primitive relics, he cannot fall, unless he encounters primitive relics that are far stronger than him. Mo 187 The non-blood tribe sent a blood man comparable to the powerful Ye ancestor. It's impossible, that secret place can't let the Ye ancestor enter. Even primitive antiquities must follow this rule. Yeah, we can't send an 8th level ancestor in when the peak powerhouse of the 9-level primitive ancestor of our Shadao Mountain takes action, and the blood tribe can't do it. Notify the half-step and 8-fold primitive ancestors who have clones outside, let them be careful, it is best to cooperate in pairs, not to be surrounded and killed by primitive antiquities. Do you want to notify other forces? There's no need to inform them, it's better for them to fall a few half-steps of the 8-fold ancestor. As time passed, Chi-Chi used this method to kill several half-step 8-fold ancestors. Naturally, other forces also knew about it, and immediately contacted the other half-step 8-fold ancestors. At this moment, Yi Tian also received the news. How many half-step 8-layer primitive ancestors fell in this secret place? Yi Tian was a little shocked. You must know that the half-step 8th level ancestors who are qualified to enter here are extremely powerful, and the weakest one is the 8th level life Daohua. Even if the combat power is weaker than him, it will not be too weak. It is very difficult for him to kill a half-step 8th level ancestor here, but he did not expect that such enchanting geniuses have fallen to the ground. After another period of time, Yi Tian found himself surrounded by a group of primitive relics.